Hi everyone. I'm just doing some last minute setup. Okay. So if you're joining and you want to participate this evening, just make sure, first thing, that you're in a safe, private, quiet space. Hi everybody. Welcome. Welcome everybody. You might need to close the door or, go tell your children, don't bother me for the next 90 minutes. Whatever you need to do. Hi, Lisa. Whatever you need to do. Yes, I heart you too. Whatever you need to do just to close the space. So I'll just wait a few more seconds or maybe even a minute. Hi, Jerome. Hi, Sabrina. Hey, Crystal. Hi, everybody. Hi, Leanna. Hi, Alex. Hi, Lorena. Hi, Rachel. Okay, so, Jerome, you're so wonderful. So setting up the space, because I'm inviting everyone to go in quite deep this evening. So just set up that space for you, and we'll see how it goes, but at least setting up a good foundation. And you might want to light a candle. If you have paper available, that might be helpful. Everything I'm saying is optional. These are just suggestions. So this evening we're going to be focusing on self-leadership through a system that I trained in known as IFS, which is the Internal Family Systems Model. Hi, Krista. Oh, that's so deep that you're here. Hi, Krista. So this is a model that came into being because a brilliant man named Richard Schwartz, one of my mentors, was working with people that had really severe traumas. And he was faithfully trying all the things that he had been taught by his mentors and in the family systems therapy, hi Diana, which he had trained in. And fortunately, this man was humble enough to admit that many of the things he was doing weren't really working. So instead of continuously trying to force these procedures on his clients, he stepped back and got curious and started to really invite his clients to be co-participants in the healing process. And so what's so beautiful, and fortunately it's not unique anymore, but what was new at the time, is this is a system that foundationally believes everyone has a self. Sometimes I refer to it as higher self. In this system, and tonight I'm just going to use the word self, and that's the word that's used in this model. Everyone has a self, no matter how messed up that person may seem, no matter how much trauma you've endured, there is a self that remains untouched and undamaged, that can heal anything that's going on. And so before I go forward, I really just want to say thank you to this man, Dick Schwartz, because when I found the system, it was like the answer to all my prayers, I had studied a lot of healing systems. I went all around the world studying yoga. By the end of it, I think at this point I've practiced yoga in like 10 different countries. I had a lot of wonderful teachers, wonderful experiences, but there was always this sense like, something's not really clicking, I can go deeper. Really similar to the feeling I had before I found human design. Like there's some piece of the puzzle that I'm not getting because I'm faithfully and diligently trying everything that these teachers are suggesting, but it's like there's something just not quite working. And what I found for me is that because of my own personal issues, I had blocks on actually embodying the higher self. I had blocks. I was very afraid to be this self-energy. So this is a system that really, really cleared that for me. And, you know, it took time. It wasn't an instant thing. But because of these tools, I was able to really clear out stuff that, some of it I didn't even know was there. And I also, just before I go on, I want to say thank you to Melissa Sandfort, because she was the person who introduced me to this system. And I'm getting very emotional because I was hired to transcribe her therapy sessions. And if any of you know her personally, she has, you know, quite an intense history. So I learned about this system through this really beautiful gift that this girl gave me. And as I watched her videos, I was just seeing this miraculous healing taking place. And after the first session, I just knew that I was going to have to learn this. Because if everybody, I didn't expect to be crying, sorry. If everybody, you know, could know about this, a lot of the stuff that we're, you know, getting caught up in, a lot of these nooses on our necks, a lot of these nets we got our claws all tied up in because our inner children are flipping out. A lot of that stuff it's going to disintegrate. Because we're in a strange situation where things are aligning, where we can have a very profound experience of expansion, like as a species, as a planet, but it's like we're messing ourselves up because of this unresolved trauma. So I really appreciate anybody who's showing up tonight. Yes, it's a free workshop, but I consider you paying me because you're paying attention. That's your payment. So by you showing up and adding your energy, even if you don't feel like you have self-energy, even if you don't feel like you're self-led, you do have a self, and your self is here. And yourself probably guided you here, you know, just to clear up any loose ends. So what I want to do this evening is just do an exercise to give you a little bit of an experience of the model. And then after that, you know, depending on how it goes, I can discuss, you know, the theory of the model a bit and then do some questions. So, hi everybody. I wish I could say hi to everybody individually. Thank you for being here. So, let me start by asking you a question, because I really work better in response, and I certainly don't want to make any assumptions about what people are experiencing or why people came. I'd like to be a little more focused. So anybody who feels comfortable, please just start writing comments about what is it that attracted you to the workshop. Is there a particular issue that you feel like you can't shift, that you'd like to try to shift tonight, or begin to shift, or get the tools to shift? Thank you, Oliver. Hi, Michael. So while people are just, you know, writing in, just write in about, you know, what is the issue? What is the burden you're carrying that you don't know how to dissolve? What is the habit that you'd like to drop that you just don't know how to stop? What is the relationship issue with your lover or family member or child or boss, whatever it is? Anyone who feels comfortable, just go ahead and write in the comments what sort of things you're facing. And while people are doing that, I'll just give a little background of what kind of pushed me over the edge to do this workshop. So we really have an opportunity now, and the internet has played a really important role in this. The internet is kind of, I see it like training wheels. We have the capacity to be incredibly psychic, and very precisely so. But it's kind of one of those muscles that we're just not developing. I mean, if you never learned to play the piano, you couldn't really judge yourself for not having really agile fingers. So if we're not, okay, beautiful. Oh, thanks for your input. Anger habit, overthinking to the point of self-sabotage, taking care of myself properly. Okay, great. So if you're just joining, please, if you feel comfortable, just write anything in the comments that brought you to this workshop. Okay, anger. Okay, beautiful. Okay, thank you so much for giving me this, because now I can focus a little better. So sorry, I'll come back to my point. So we have this opportunity to really move into greater dimensional versions of ourselves. And I really hesitate with the language on this. You know, fifth dimension and beyond has always existed. It's just now we're moving into a place where we can kind of line everything up. And that creates, you know, this alignment creates the ability to bring more of our powerful self into this reality. And what it looks like is this is the first time in the universe that on a planet we're able to bring those higher dimensions down into the existence without having to leave this physical body behind. And that's a really, you know, basically what that's offering us is like Eden on Earth. But because we went through this extraordinarily extreme colonization process, we're blocking that in a lot of ways. And it's not because we don't deserve it. It's not because it's not possible. It's not because it's preposterous. It's because we've been traumatized. We've been traumatized. And anyone who's here who feels they haven't been traumatized, I invite you to stay, because I'm sure someone around you has been. So you can use these tools to, you know, communicate and support other people to bring their energy back to their true self. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about this, you know, expansion to other dimensions while still being in the physical body, and how I feel like I've been training for that, whether I knew it or not, for many, many years. It's sort of like I've been training to be in a lucid dream while I'm awake in this reality. And that's why this work really appealed to me, because I saw that, you know, this IFS system was a way to basically teach people how to be their own shaman. And having had some very negative experiences in the guru game, all for the learning, all is forgiven, I'm grateful for all of it. But I just saw the real issue that's been going on with this idea that authority is out there somewhere. So this is a system that offers even the most traumatized person, I mean, I'm talking about someone who's been through the worst things that you can imagine. It offers them a path, like breadcrumb trail, back to their real self, back to their own authority, which has been hijacked by these traumas. And so the last time I did this workshop was like 4 years ago. And in that one I also talked about this research, and I forget the researcher's name now. I think it's Alex something. I believe this was done in the 70s, and he took all these rats and he put them in typical laboratory conditions. So you've got like a water bottle, some food, and nothing. No socializing, no stimulation, no books, no TV. And he offered them unlimited heroin. So guess what they did? They became addicted to heroin. But can we be surprised? So he took those same rats that were already addicted and he put them in an environment with all the things that rats love. Crumpled up newspapers, garbage, empty boxes, pieces of food, other rats. And he continued to offer them unlimited heroin. And the rats just gradually stopped using it. So if you take nothing else away this evening, your parts, your not self that's here, we just went through a really, really crazy colonization process, which was like putting a rat in a cage with no stimulation and not giving it what it needs. So a lot of the behaviors, a lot of the things you're listing that, you came here to really clear out. Krista just wrote something about my dad, so I'm just kidding. Thank you, Krista. I know that he's here. So, a lot of the stuff that we're carrying, it's because you were put in a crazy cage. We've been living in a zoo. The species has expanded into a 9-centered being instead of a 7-centered being. We've been trying to fit into a 7-centered being model inside of a cage. So we really can forgive ourselves. You can really forgive yourself for being a heroin-addicted rat because you didn't get what you needed. We got like less than 0. Sometimes not only did we not get what we needed, but we got a lot of like abuse. And it was at the hands of people who actually did love us. But they had been abused, and their parents had been abused. And look, all trauma is different, but all human suffering is the same. You can't get out of it no matter how much money you have, no matter what your skin color is, no matter your social status. I mean, there might be some things that money can, cushion you from, but everybody has received these traumas. So the invitation tonight is to at least, it's okay. I just want to say, I feel okay that I'm crying, and I can see why it's happening now, because I'm not against anything. I'm not against your emotions. I'm not against being nervous. I'm not against people commenting or not commenting. Everything is welcome here. All your parts are welcome here. If all you do all day is drink alcohol and curse at people, you're welcome here. If all you do all day is sit praying and, saying love and light repeatedly because you're so scared of how bad you are that you think that's all you can do to get by here, you're welcome here. Everything is welcome. So coming back, the invitation this evening is to just have an experience of the tools. And I really want to say this is really important, and we'll go into this, further on. If you experience resistance, comment on it. If you're comfortable, ask a question. If you're not comfortable, if this starts to hit on something too deep for you tonight, stop. Stop. Because whatever part of you is telling you to stop, that part of you knows what's going on in your system, in your subconscious. And it may know, you got to get up for work in the morning, and if we do this now, you're not going to sleep tonight. So you should listen to the replay on Sunday. Or whatever. Or maybe you just uncovered a lost memory of something horrible that happened, and you don't feel comfortable going into that without a qualified person present to heal you. So really just listen. There's no pressure. I'm saying that to myself too because I haven't really done a group exercise like the one we're going to do tonight. So I'm here doing an experiment with healing, hoping that people get something out of it. And for the very least, I'll give you the theory at the end if the exercise doesn't work for you, so you at least get the knowledge, that's in the system. Okay. So I do have my little slides here. So we did the all parts are welcome. Everything's welcome. And, everything's welcome because when we start to exile things, which we love to do in a lot of countries, but in America particularly, we have such a huge percent of the world's prison population. We like to just throw stuff in dungeons. And that's one way of doing things. And if you don't know that everyone has a self, and you don't know about your own spiritual power, and you don't have faith in the spiritual power of other people, then, you might want to lock up scary monsters. You might want to do that. And there may be a place for timeout, even if everybody had these tools, because sometimes people go over the edge. So, it's okay. But in this system, we're welcoming everything because inside of you is a closed system. And so anything that you try to suppress, anything inside yourself you try to run from or hide from, it's not going anywhere. And even, sadly, as some of, our former humans have chosen to do, if somebody takes their own life, the burden is still not going anywhere. So, kind of got trapped in this colonization game, and a lot of us, you know, some people are star seeds and so forth, we're like, you know, from another dimension, like, yeah, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to clean it up, and then you got in here, and you're like, whoa. So a lot of us have gotten stuck in various ways, and our energy is kind of getting pulled because of these traumas. It's stuck in different parts of our timeline. So we want to welcome all of it, because anything that stays exiled is going to be pulling your energy. And, you know, if you know about homeopathy, you know, if you know the story of the princess and the pea, the tiniest little pull can wreck your system. The tiniest little pull. So even tiny traumas, something that your adult self thinks, oh, I should be over that, you know. Why am I still upset about the fact that, you know, when I was 6 years old, we had to move out of the countryside and into the city, and I missed the trees? I should be over that. Well, who's saying you should be over that? It's like an adult part of you that's means well, but it wants to brush it under the rug. To not get into that, you know, really authentic pain that children experience, because we're open, we're sensitive then. So this is a way to you know, welcome back that sensitivity while giving you the tools to anchor everything down if you know, if you hit on something that's really rough. And in this work that I've done, I have worked with people who have been through like really the roughest of the rough. But because they came to me and we worked through what they were going through, I can confidently sit here and say, this system really works and everything can be healed. We just tend to be putting our attention on other stuff all the time because our protective system is trying to distract us from pain, because our protective system doesn't believe that pain can be healed. So let's go in a little further to the explanation. And in the meantime, for those who've joined, make sure, you know, you're in a safe space. Close the door if you need to have some water. I would like you to have paper and pen or markers. If you don't end up using them, it's okay. It's really optional, but it may help you in your process, especially if you're new to this work. So this IFS system, one of the main beliefs, as I said, one of the main knowings, is that everyone has a self. But we are not a unified, singular, solitary consciousness that doesn't waver, that's always in self-energy and totally pure and never triggered. We have different parts of our consciousness, just like we have different parts of the brain, just like our inner system. You know, you have a liver that does one job, you have lungs that do another job, you have intestines that do yet another job, and so forth. In the same way, you have your consciousness is split into different parts of you that play different roles. And you don't have to have, you know, I don't know what they're calling multiple personality disorder now, dissociative identity disorder, I think. You don't have to have that to have these different parts. A healthy person will have these different parts. Let me give you an example. The part of you that's at the forefront, that you're really blended with when you're having sex, hopefully that's not the same part of you that's at the forefront when you're sitting down with grandma at a Thanksgiving dinner. Different parts of you. And that's healthy. Very healthy. So what happens with the trauma, though, is that parts take on these extreme roles, because when the trauma happened, self-energy was not present in whatever situation traumatized you. And your self-energy, because you were too young to be in your full sovereign power, maybe you didn't even speak English yet, or whatever your native language is, parts of you developed to protect you in what appeared to be, and was at the time, a hopeless situation. So, you know, if you're a young child and you're getting like abused physically or emotionally or sexually by a family member, and you're not even old enough to cook for yourself yet, what are you going to do? You can embody higher self energy as a 5-year-old, but you're not strong enough, nor do you have the skills to go and take care of yourself. You have to stay in that hopeless, no-win situation, yeah? And so you develop these habits to compensate as best you can. So that 5-year-old may develop a part that just numbs out. Maybe you know how to leave your body because of that abuse. Now that's great, but then once you become an adult and you find yourself just losing time and leaving your body and you don't have control over it because your system is still not wanting to go into the pain of that 5-year-old being abused in a hopeless situation, that is when it becomes dysfunctional. But we must respect the fact that these dysfunctions at one point in time were functional. And they came out of this colonized situation where we're rats in a cage and we got nothing to do but heroin. Or we're a 5-year-old getting abused and nobody's recognizing the abuse and taking us out of the scenario. So, that is to say, I figured it out this time. I wrote everything backwards. Your inner family, your inner ecosystem, different parts of you that focus on or specialize in different roles. So I think we kind of got that clear. Okay, so the goal in the work that we're going to do tonight is self-leadership. This does not require that you get rid of any parts of you. Let me put this one up first, actually. There are no bad parts of you, only burdened parts. That's why everything is welcome. This might be one of the most important slides of the evening. No bad parts, only burdened parts. So the goal is self-leadership. This does not require that you get rid of any parts of you. It does require that your parts are unburdened and come to trust yourself enough to allow the self to lead. And again, if you're just joining by self, I mean like your higher self, your soul self, your expansive consciousness. Okay, so now my higher self is telling me before I go forward, I have to give this disclaimer. While I did the entire training in IFS therapy, I am actually not a therapist. I work as a coach. I would say I'm a healer, more like a shaman. And as a shaman, there's not a regulatory board for this. You can't really get a degree in it. It's something that you kind of, you're doing it and you can't get out of it, and it kind of comes to you. It's not, I didn't put my hand up for this role. I did not expect to have the experiences that I had. I was raised in an atheist household with very sort of logical, scientific education. So, yes, that's true. Chris is making a joke that my mom one time met Bob Marley, and he tried to take her, home with him, and she didn't go. So there's like a joke in the family that I could have been Bob Marley's daughter. So anyway, I'm not a therapist. And therapy is wonderful, and I love the IFS therapy community. I'm so grateful to see Sykes, who is my therapist. Beautiful work that they're doing. And in some situations, especially if you need to go slowly because you're working out something deep, or maybe you have an intergenerational trauma that you're trying to work out of your system, that might be the right setting for you. The difference between the way I work and the way a therapist works is that I'm not under the supervision of the matrix in the same way that they are. So they kind of have to, they're working inside the matrix more, and that's appropriate because there's a lot of people who need that. So nothing is wrong or right, We need that system, and I love it and I respect it, and I'm so grateful to all the people in the IFS community who just taught me and cleared me up and told me I got to slow down. A million times I was told that, and it was so true. I'm really grateful to them, but I am not a therapist. So as a shaman, I'm kind of more like a loose cannon. I can kind of, I'm not being supervised or guided or led by anything in this matrix reality. But I'm interfacing because that's where we're, joining each other here. And so it's important to say that because, there's laws about being certified in therapy and that sort of thing. And I'm not a therapist. But when I, learned about the system, for those of you just joining, Melissa Sanfort hired me to transcribe her sessions. And the trauma that she went through was so severe, and I was just so shocked at how effective this therapy was. I immediately was like, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn everything I can about it. So I did all 3 levels of the training. Now, just as an aside, some of you may end up becoming interested in the training. I totally recommend it. It was worth every penny. You don't have to be a therapist to do the training. 99% of the people who do are already therapists, but I think they're still allowing, in my class, there were at least 3 of us who weren't therapists. So you can still do the training, and it's profound and beautiful. And one of the most beautiful things about the IFS community is that they invite all therapists to do the work on themselves first. And this is really important because as a healer, if I'm not self-led, then all my parts with all their triggers and burdens can just be projecting on you and bouncing all over you. So in IFS, they really focus on training the therapist to learn how to be self-led before they go in session with the client, and also give them tools so that when their crap comes up during a session, they can chill their parts out and stay self-led so that they can really, hold space for the client. Okay, so I'm just going to give one more slide, actually 2 more, and then I want to go into an experiential thing. And then after that, we'll see how people feel. If you feel interested, if people want to nerd out, I can go more into the theory part, which I think is really profound and helpful. But I really want to just let people have sort of a direct experience. So I'll just do a couple more. So in this model, you have the self, which is the higher self, and then you have parts. And even a healthy, untraumatized, unburdened person is going to have parts. So these parts of us can show up as feelings, thoughts, emotions, sensations, images, etc. Oh, Melissa's here. That's so beautiful. And this is not a complete list. It can show up as all types of stuff. So it might be helpful to think of parts as like little versions of you, but for some people that doesn't work. Some people are very visual. Some people, are really, they have like a spiritual ear. Some people just experience feelings. Some people just get racing thoughts. Things can show up in all different ways. So we're going to go inside in a moment. I just want you to be open to whatever comes up. It can be very easy for the mind to kind of come in and just dismiss stuff. Like I had a session once where at the beginning of the session a protector came up and it was just a gray cloud. And that cloud would not move. It wasn't an inner child appearing. It wasn't a spirit animal. It wasn't anything. It was just this gray cloud. And I couldn't get it to move. But it was a protector that, was really not feeling safe in the situation, and I had to do certain things before it would shift away. And then once it parted, oh my gosh, there's a full scene behind it. So just be really patient and be really open and just observe, just be really observant. So one last thing I want to say before we go in, just because I feel, and my guides also suggested, just to talk a little bit more about self before we go in. And the reason is, there's quite a few people here. Oh, hey, Janine. And because of that, we have a lot of self-energy present, and we can really, we can use that to help us all go deeper. So the qualities of self. So I'll talk about imposter self parts later, I think. because that's important to know about. But in the meantime, qualities of self, all these C words. So in the IFS training, they teach us about all these C words. Now, the self is clear, compassionate, curious, calm, courageous, creative, and connected. Not because it's trying to be, not because it practiced, not because it did, a headstand for 3 hours and chanted, I am calm, but because the vibratory level or essence of self is naturally these things. So I put a post up the other day, I remember doing a public session, actually. And in that session, I actually had the ability I did the session with Dick Schwartz. This was the first time I met him, I think. And he did a sample session with me, and I found a pre-verbal infant part of me. I had no idea this was going to come up. I had no idea it existed. It shocked me. And we ended up doing a total unburdening of the part, I think. It was a really deep session. But anyway, I was really surprised because I had never worked with nonverbal, pre-verbal parts before. This was real early in the IFS game for me. So afterwards, one of the people watching said something about, they saw that I was being very courageous. But in the session, Dick Schwartz had so much self-energy, and I was able to connect into my self-energy, and it didn't feel courageous in the way like my person or Hollywood would say something is courageous. It felt really natural, and that courage was natural because Dick had created a safe space. So that's what I'm proposing that we do right now. I know that a lot of you are really ready to be done with the lessons of negativity. I just think as a people and as a planet, I don't know. I think we've had enough. I think we get it. And in order for us to get out of, this like negativity repetition, we got to do this work. So by all of us doing this together now, not only are we going to be able to heal more deeply in our individual selves, but, we're going to have an impact all around us. I mean, there's people from at least all around the United States at this moment. So, you're all just like little seeds, and we can have a big impact. And I guess that's all I'll say about it now, because I could get on a real long discussion of the, the political issue, but that might be for later when we discuss more of the theory. Okay, so once again, for anybody who joined later, make sure you close the door, be in a safe space, get comfortable, and have something to write on. Now, one more thing before we go in. The reason I'm asking or offering you to have something to write on is because we're going to go inside and focus on stuff that you may not usually focus on, number one. And number two, a lot of times there's so much racing through our consciousness all the time. And by actually writing stuff down, we kind of freeze frame it and externalize it so it becomes easier to look at and grasp. One of the things our protective... Okay, thank you for being here, Loran. One of the things our protective system will do sometimes is just too much too fast, and then you don't really see any of it, and you're not really experiencing it. Our protective system, when it's burdened, its major motivation is just to keep us from experiencing pain. It doesn't want us to be aware of it. It doesn't want us to experience it. But let's be really clear. Not experiencing the pain and not feeling the pain is very different from healing the pain. Very different. So we're going to create a safe space now to sort of invite the pain forward. And because there's so many of us here, and because I feel really confident in playing this role, I can really, yes, let it burn. I can really anchor down the self-energy. And I just really feel so grateful, as I said earlier, that everyone is showing up, because when you do this work on yourself, you're doing it for the collective. You're doing it for all of us. You really are. The more of us do it, the easier it is for anybody who comes after us to do it. The more of us do it, the more it gets unburdened, the less we have, these ning-nongs running around wasting our resources on stuff that's dysfunctional. So let's begin to go inside. So I'm just going to start real simple guided meditation. Now, I'll be opening and closing my eyes probably. If you, for some reason, if closing your eyes is uncomfortable for you, you can do it with your eyes open. Maybe if you are doing it with your eyes open, though, if you wouldn't mind just kind of looking down, because if people are really staring at me, I might be feeling the energy of you staring at me, and it might be a little weird. So just, just kind of looking down at your hands, or looking up, or, looking at the tip of your nose, perhaps. So let's start. So we're going to go inside, and I'm just going to guide you in. And as another disclaimer, typically this is the way I would work one-on-one. So I'm trying to adapt a one-on-one to a group. So let's just go easy. If something comes up and I can't answer your question or something, listen to the replay again, try the work again. I'm going to do my best to make it, fruitful for everyone, but just please forgive me because I'm adapting what I normally am doing one-on-one. Okay. So first, I'm going to personally invite my guides, any ancestors, anyone in the angelic realm who's interested in self-leadership, in humans healing their trauma, any beings from other dimensions who want to come in and give their energy. If you personally, any of the participants, if that is not, doesn't feel right for you or doesn't feel good, then I ask those entities to just, leave you in your own space. I also invite you all to invite your own spirit guides, ancestors, and so forth. Any ceremonies you do to create space, go ahead and do that. And in the meantime, we're just going to start by slowing down the breath. Slowing down the breath, possibly breathing through the nose, if that's comfortable for you. By breathing through the nose, it automatically slows the breath down. And when we slow down the breath, we slow down the mind. So I'm going to be silent for about a minute. And as you slow down your breathing, I invite you to just really ground into your physical body. This is for me as well. I've kind of been talking, so I've been up here. So depending on what you've done today, you might have been up here as well in the headspace. So just start grounding your energy down into your body. Breathing slowly through the nose for about a minute or so. And I just want you to just start observing and noticing what's coming up for you. Okay, and so now I'm going to ask a more directed question. I just want to invite forward any parts of you, any inner children, depending on where you're working. Some of you have been doing a lot of inner work. You might even be, experiencing memories or incarnations from other timelines. They may come forward. But whatever in your system, in your awareness field, really needs attention at the moment. Whatever part of you is feeling neglected or unheard, or if there's a part of you that feels unsafe, just welcome all those parts forward. And I'll just sort of, whisper in the ear of any parts that feel timid or afraid that, this is a very different experience. It's going to be very gentle, and we're going to go very slowly. And no parts of you are going to have to do anything that doesn't feel right to them. So just really making space for the parts of you that are maybe most frightening to deal with or most difficult. Some of you have already written about the parts of you, the issues that you want to assess and work with and pay attention to tonight. So some of you, I know, spoke about angry parts and, well, I can't find the comments. You know, diseases that you're battling, wanting some financial liberation, so maybe you have money demons going on. Somebody wants to be clear-headed and grounded, so maybe parts of you that are afraid to ground in this reality. I've seen that a lot. That can be healed. Okay, so a part of you that forgets that you have a self, basically. Explosive anger towards children, victim mindset. Okay, so you can go ahead and open your eyes and just grab paper and whatever writing utensil feels comfortable and just write down anything that came up for you, anything you noticed. If what came up for you was like a blank wall, write that down. If what came up for you was like 40 different voices, write down as much of it as you can. So I'll just give you a few minutes to write that stuff down, and anyone who feels comfortable, anyone who feels moved, who wants to write in the comments about what came up for them, I would really appreciate that. I work best in response. So by you sharing what's coming up for you, I can really target what's happening. And then I have a part that's afraid that I'll just impose assumptions that, you know, everyone here is here because they have an eating disorder, so we'll talk about eating disorders, but maybe nobody has that issue. Somebody got a sunset. Okay, wait, I gotta scroll back down. Okay, a sunset. Okay, beautiful. Okay. Oh, fractions of ages. Beautiful. Butterflies in stomach. Yes, that's a part. Beautiful. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Because I have a part that was so nervous because usually I do this with one person at a time and it's so easy for me then. But I see that, you know, it's still working. So, okay, beautiful. Okay, just another moment for people to write stuff down or in case anybody else has a comment. So Stacy said she got fractions of ages. You know, that's beautiful. So what I find in this work, what the IFS community finds, denial. Yes, protectors. I love you, denial. I love you. Welcome. Welcome to the butterflies in the stomach. Welcome to the tears. Yeah, dogs are freaking out. Yes, animals are really sensitive to this work. Usually Lucian comes when I do the sessions. He loves the self-energy. Wow, okay. Fractions of ages like that. Okay. Interesting. So Stacy's getting fractions of ages. So if like you saw, you know, age 1 and age 7 kind of in the same memory, that might be your system telling you there's some pattern that, you know, was really set at those ages or dinged or whatever. Heavy pressure on my chest. Beautiful. Some disappointment. Future stuff. Okay, great. Fear of your father passing. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, DNA codes, fears. Fears you won't be able to do everything health-wise, cash-wise. I felt things coming forth from my sides, but nothing I named. See, confusion, breath was labored. You want to go in and rewrite your DNA codes. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so the next step we're going to do, so that was just sort of the invitation. So we're going to flesh it out a little bit more. So some of you seem really clear, and then some of you are getting sort of more, you know, butterflies in my stomach. You're getting sort of an energy that's vague. Some of you are giving me real specifics. Some of you are getting vague. So a couple things I want to say. All of that is excellent. There's nothing incorrect in this work. So all of it is excellent. When you start vague, we'll get more specific as we go in. If you're starting specific, I just invite you to be open to the possibility that what you think this is going to be about is not what it ends up being about. I've definitely had bubbling at the solar plexus. Great, beautiful. That's the emotional wave center. I've had lots of sessions where I went in and one of my protectors was like, we're going to go in and we're going to work on this today. And this is the plan. I even had all that going on for this video. And that's a self-like part, usually, that's trying to play the role of yourself. And that's great, because I do want to be organized for this, and you do need to have some organization and focus. But at the end of the day, we're going to be going in and unveiling what your system wants us to see. So anytime you feel an agenda, that's a part. Self, no agenda. Instead, there is curiosity. The self has no agenda, it's just curious. So we're going to get curious and we're going to go back in again. And I'm going slowly again because it's a group. But it never hurts to go slowly. The slower you go, the more details you get. The more details you get, the deeper you get. The deeper you get, the more you can fully pull out whatever the burden is. And then you'll see what happens. It's beautiful once you get that out. Okay, fear of death. Okay, all these things. Okay, so we're going to go in a second time and we're going to flesh it out. And spinning sensation at the kidneys. Okay, beautiful. We're going to flesh out whatever you're experiencing, and then we're gonna take another step after that. So once again, if it's comfortable to you, closing the eyes. If you are going to open your eyes, you know, maybe just look at, just try not to like beam energy straight at me. So I want you to be, even if your eyes are open, you're looking inside of you. Now, for me, it helps to close my eyes because I'm seeing in the dark. Like we're doing shadow whispering right now, so for me that works. But you do what's comfortable to you. All right. My managers are trying to talk. Okay. So paying attention to this part of you or parts of you that came up. We're just going to start to flesh it out, what you're experiencing, what this part is, what it wants to show you. So I'm just going to ask a few questions. If you get no answers, it's okay. If something else comes up and it's really like not even anything I'm talking about, that's okay. Whatever I'm saying and jabbering about, you just keep paying attention inside of you to what's happening inside of you. Okay. So if this part of you were a color, what color would it be? If this part of you had a smell, what would the smell be? Whatever's coming up for you, if it had a sound associated with it, what would the sound be? If this part of you had like a mantra or something that it was constantly saying, what would it be saying? Is there something that it repeats often? Does this part of you have a specific age? What age is this part of you? And if it doesn't look like a part yet, that's okay. If it doesn't look like a part, meaning it doesn't like look like you at age 7 or something, that's okay. Does it have an age? Okay. If there was a song associated with this part, what would the song be? And again, you might not get answers for any of this, and it's okay. These are questions I ask only when people have difficulty really seeing. It seems like a lot of you are having very little difficulty seeing. But this just helps get more information, get a richer picture. Okay, so you can go ahead and open your eyes and write down anything that you saw. I love it if you would comment, only if you feel safe. If it doesn't feel safe to comment, that's fine. And I also want to know if anybody experienced a protector or resistance. Like, I know somebody said denial earlier. So if anyone who's experiencing resistance, or like a part of you that wants to get up and run, or a part of you that wants to go to sleep, or a part of you that wants to just go eat like a whole bag of Doritos or Oreos, all of that is protectors. Distractors. We welcome them too. Okay. Okay. Stacy's phone keeps ringing. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Okay, beautiful. Oh, wow. Krista's mom. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all the feedback. Yes, Archangel Michael. Okay. Okay, this is beautiful. And somebody wrote about being terrified of being hurt by metaphysical experiences. So I'm actually going to stop and work with that part right now, because that is in the collective. A distractor, feeling unfocused, confusion. Confusion is a part, great. A lot of times we can have a part that uses confusion to keep us from going inside. Confusion is a sign that some part of you is trying to block the process. And I welcome the confusion. So when parts of us come up trying to block the process, it's protectors. And remember, the protectors want to make sure we don't experience pain, that we're not aware of the pain. But remember that not experiencing pain is not the same thing as healing pain. Okay? So, all right, I'm going to have to do some general work. So if it applies to you, great. If not, please just hold space for the rest of us, and, just hold space in the energy. When the protectors come up, I really want your protectors to know that anytime during this workshop, if there's something going on that they don't like, they're welcome to stop. You're welcome to tell me. You're welcome to give me feedback. But definitely, express yourself, protectors. Because a lot of times protectors come up and they have a very valid issue that's actually going on in present time. I had protectors coming up, like I remember one time I worked with Nancy Wonder, who I love. She's so wonderful. And I had a protector come up that was really a challenger, because my protector knew what was about to come up in the session, and my protector was like, we need to see if she can really handle this. So just to let your protectors know, my training is really experiential, and this work and what I do is not because I read it in a book. It's because I have a lot of practice, and I have worked with people who've been through very extreme circumstances, and I've experienced them healing that and clearing it out, and them being safe on the other side of that process. So a lot of protectors are well-meaning. They want to stop right now. Just like my protectors, I had a protector that didn't want to do this video. It was like, we could cancel it, So I love the protectors, and I'm glad they're here. So what we can actually do, let's just do this really quickly as a group. If you have protectors coming up, ask them what they are afraid would happen if we proceed with this work. Butterflies in the stomach, or fear, or confusion. What are you afraid would happen if we proceed with this work, and just see what they say to you. So I know someone specifically talked about, metaphysical experiences and being frightened about that. And that is a really real issue. It's a real issue in the healing community. We got a lot of shadow stuff going on. Some of it can get very ugly. All is forgiven because it's all part of the learning process of bringing us back to source and clarity. But, there's some really gnarly stuff that happens, and there's false healers, and there's healers that are not self-led. There's a lot of ugly stuff that happens. So I welcome the parts of anyone out there that have something like a block about doing any sort of spiritual work, because they probably have a very good reason for it. So again, I just want to let those parts of you know that, during this process, I'm going to be holding down self-energy. I've invited in guides and angels. You can invite in your guides and angels, even if you've never done that before. Even if you don't believe in them. Because the thing is, they can't... Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Miriam. I'm going to address that. Your guides can't interfere unless you invite them. They're kind of like projectors. So invite them. Invite the ancestors that have your best interest at heart. Invite them. Invite them in. There is a shadow side to this work. There are people who, have the ability to do shamanic work, and they do abuse it consciously. Some people abuse it unconsciously because they're just asleep, but there are people who do some nasty stuff. So for the protectors who are concerned about that, for the protectors who are concerned about the demon realm, we're going to have the skills tonight to handle all of that. And in fact, one of the greatest things Dick Schwartz ever did for the healing community is to use the term critters. So, I said, we have all these parts. Yeah? I think that's correct on your side. We have all these parts, but we also can sometimes stumble upon something in our system that's not a part. It's a critter. Now, some people call these demons, and I know that's a really charged word for good reason, because those critters can really ramp up. They can really do a number on us. But in this system, because it teaches self-leadership, your higher self can flick those things off. They're like viruses. And the viruses are going through the system to show us where the cracks are. It's not always pleasant. It can get horrible. I had I learned this system because of a lot of negativity. I learned about this system because I learned about the negative side of the healing community, So what was so beautiful about this system is it puts the power in the hands of the client. You don't need a guru. I'm only here to hold self-energy and just teach you some tools, but this is for you to learn how to do it on yourself eventually. And by the way, don't feel bad if you can't do it on yourself. Don't feel bad if you need to reach out. I still have people help me. I live with my partner who's my coach. So that's okay. But you don't have to be addicted to any outer authority. You don't have to bow down to a guru. The guru in this system is replaced by yourself, your higher self. So your higher self has the power to clear out any critters that don't belong in your system. But I want to just go into this nuance quickly because somebody's protector did come up. The difference between parts and critters need a host. They're going to do everything they can to make you think you can't get rid of them. But really, they are like a virus, and you can spit them up and spit them out on the sidewalk and let them just shrivel up in the sun. Now, there are some cases, and if you're really skilled, or you get someone who's skilled in it, where some of these critters can be turned. You can bring them to the light. You can invite them into the light. The issue with the demon realm is there's like a hierarchy, and demons have jobs to do, just like our parts have jobs to do. And if they don't do those jobs, there's consequences for them. So you can actually pull them into the light. And so I know, this can be really charged. And again, like I said, for good reason. I'm not naive about it. So I really appreciate people who have like a real thing about that demonic realm, because it, like I said, it can really like do a number on us. But these tools can handle even that. These tools can handle past life issues, current life issues, in the moment issues, not in the moment issues, everything. So thank you to everyone's protectors. Oh, hey, Otto. Thanks for joining. Thank you to everyone's protectors and everyone who, felt comfortable sharing what came up for them. Because it's really important to talk about that. Because as we go in, if something in you is saying no, stop and ask why. Let me see if I have the slide on that. Here we go. When you encounter resistance, stop and get curious. Ask the resistant part what it is afraid of and what it needs to proceed willingly. So like for that example, when I did that session with Nancy Wonder, I had this protective part that came up that was really like wanting to challenge her to see if she was really in self-energy, so that this, crazy memory and this crazy burden could come up and get healed. So that part came out, and fortunately, because she is so good at what she does and she was so self-led, she could confidently show that part, not just tell it, but show it in her, by the way her energy field was, that she could handle it. And then the session just went like water. It just was so easy. So the protectors are really important. Now, I also have protectors that they can do the distraction thing. I saw some people talk about distraction. So I have a group of protectors that for a couple of years, when I would do this work, they would like just show me. It was like the peanut gallery, I call them. They would show me like clowns and, like a circus and all these like people flipping around and jumping around. And it was very funny, and it would get me to laugh. So remember, with the protectors, there can be like a burdened, polarized side and a healthy side. Sometimes laughing and joking can be a distraction. Like, some people who, they like to laugh stuff off all the time because they don't want to go deeper. But in my case, I found that these protectors were getting me to laugh so that I would loosen up, which I probably even need to do right now, because I was so nervous coming into this. So we welcome all of it. And just remember that these protectors, when they're coming up distracting you or confusing you or bringing fears to the front, they all have a good intention, and that is they want to keep you safe. Now, one of the issues is sometimes in keeping us safe, they keep us away from the very thing we need to heal. So, for example, many people have had negative experiences through the spiritual realm. If you've had, like, particularly sexual abuse, that's really demonic realm activity, and you have encountered demons. So why would your system want to come into this scenario with some lady on a computer screen and open up to that realm? Why would you want to do that? This seems crazy. So it's totally understandable that you have these protectors that are like doing the Heisman, or, taking you over here, or, like mine right now is like creating a pain in my back. They're doing it for a good reason, because you have been traumatized. We have been colonized. So I welcome them. So let's go into a next level of the exercise. Okay. So I'm going to tell you about the different types of parts, and then we're going to invite in another layer. We're going to go in a little deeper. So no matter what's happening with you, everyone has this self. Everyone has this inner power, which is clear, courageous, calm, etc. We all also have these categories of parts. Managers are kind of like the superego. They're the proactive protectors. They're going to make sure you get your rent paid on time. They're going to make sure, you wear deodorant. They're going to make sure that, They're going to make sure you don't go into a situation that's spiritually not safe for you. So they're just going to stop you from doing anything spiritual, that type of thing, when they're burdened. When they're healthy, you know, they make sure that your life runs smoothly. They're like the planners and organizers. These are protectors. Another set of protectors are the firefighters. They're kind of like the ego, and they're reactive. So like now, some of you, by me inviting you to go inside, something in you knew that you were going to hit on something deep and you got nervous. So that's when a firefighter came up to distract you. A firefighter came up saying, oh, whoa, 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 wait, you know, I don't know about doing this metaphysical stuff. It can be dangerous. So again, their intention is to protect you, and when they're extreme, they'll just take you away from the opportunity to get in deeper. But when they're healthy, you know, they help you to laugh and be light and, you know, be social and have connectivity. So they can be extreme or healthy. Behind these managers and firefighters is the realm of the exiles. This is what typically people think of when they say inner child, but all of them are actually inner children. The exiles is what we're going to invite to come forward next. So what usually happens is you might be more of a manager style or firefighter style. Some people have a mix of both. What happens is if there's a lot of trauma here in the exile realm, you end up really blending with one of these types of protectors. They block out the self, and they also block out awareness of the exile. So you're actually blocking both the inner child that's holding the painful memory, but also the self that can heal it. Yes. Is it possible we can unify them all? Yes. They can all be unified through self-leadership. So that's the next step that we're going to take. We're going to bring some self into the scenario. Yes, firefighters. Okay, so again, I'm going slowly because it's a big group and everybody's kind of got different parts going up, so I'm trying to make it as general as possible, but also still effective for everybody. So we're going to go back in and we're going to focus on whatever part came up for you in the earlier exercises. So maybe you have a part of you that's butterflies in the stomach. Maybe you have a part of you that's confusing you. Maybe you have a part of you that's distracting you. Maybe you have a part of you that's showing you all these different ages, whatever it is. So just reconnect with whatever it was that came up for you. And once you really see or sense that part, then just sort of hold the vision or hold the sensation or allow the sensation to be in your body. Just allow it to be as it is. Just welcome it in. Maybe it showed you what color it is, what it tastes like, what it smells like, what it sounds like, what song it would be if it were a song. And just hold that awareness there. And then as a group, we're going to just shift our vibration into our individual self-energy. So just finding the vibration of compassion or curiosity, or maybe just calmness, or maybe you feel courageous now. And once you feel connected with that level of your energy, just turn your attention back to this part of you and ask this part of you, what do you need from me tonight? Ask the part, what do you need from me tonight? And if this part is showing itself as like a person or you at another age, just see if you can go and sit next to it. Maybe it'll allow you to hold its hand. Maybe you could put your arm around this part of you. And just, again, just gently keep asking, what do you need from me right now? And then if anybody feels comfortable sharing, just let me know what, yes, love, Beautiful. So go ahead and give that part love. And when we're centered in the self energy, it's very easy to love all parts. And again, just keep asking this part of you, what do you need from me? And if it's not a safe space, good. Surrendering to the ocean, good, okay. Good, you saw why you have a contract with this person. Good, beautiful. So good, a lot of you, protection, love, good. A lot of you are getting some feedback from the parts. If you're not getting it, again, it's okay. Your system might not be ready to do the work tonight for a particular reason, so we respect that. There will be a recording. You can always come back, so no pressure. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now ask this same part of you, like let's say it says, I need a safe space, self-care, attention, surrendering to the ocean, protection. Okay, now ask the part of you, what is stopping this part of you from getting what it needs? Why does this part feel that it's unable to get what it needs? Good. Okay, if she keeps crying, then just go over to her and let her cry. If you can put your arm around her, hug her. Healing, good. If you have parts that are crying, really welcome the tears. If you're blending with them and you're getting overwhelmed by the emotion, that's okay. Just allow it to come out. I'm going to anchor you. Weakness, okay. Good. Wisdom, good, okay. So asking the part, what is stopping this part from getting what it needs? Letting go, healing, good, okay. Fighting an adult, okay, good. A small orange squirrel that won't be still, that's beautiful. It won't answer, okay. And we welcome the parts that won't answer. And, you know, especially in a group, there's a lot of energy here. So, parts that won't answer, they might be hesitant. They're not sure where this is going. So that's perfectly fine. Guilt, okay. Okay, so whatever's going on with the part, ask this part, what is the job that it's doing in your system? What is its job? Pain in the ovaries that need healing. Okay, good. Stop putting others before self. Great, okay. Okay, so for example, Monique has a part that's putting others before self. And that's its job. For some reason, this part feels the need to put others before self. Okay, good. Needing to let go of a loved one. Okay. You can also ask this part, how long has it been doing this job? Or how long has it been it, she, he? If it's not an it, maybe it's just a sensation, picking up the pieces. So you can ask this part, how long has it been picking up the pieces? When did it start picking up the pieces? Before incarnation. Okay, so we're asking the part, what is its job and how long has it been doing its job? The reason it's important to ask how long it's been doing its job is because then we get information about when this part was formed, when the job was formed, 1592. Okay, yeah. So some of you are working with parts that are pre-incarnation. Okay. Okay. So whatever this part of you is doing, ask this part of you, what is it afraid would happen if it stopped doing the job that it does? So if you have a part, say, that's making you feel guilty, or you have a part that's an orange squirrel that won't be still, what is afraid would happen if it won't be still? What is this part afraid would happen if it doesn't keep you feeling guilty? What is this part afraid would happen if it lets go of the loved one, in Carolyn's case? This part, okay, so you have a part that's afraid that you would lose your husband. Okay. Okay, a part needs to cry more and needs to be around more water so it can heal. Okay, good. Hi, Kelly. Okay. So we're asking the part, what does it need from you tonight? We're asking the part, what is the job that it does? We're asking the part, why it feels that it can't get what it needs. And we're asking the part how long it's been doing the behavior or the job that it's been doing. Not being able to have children, okay. Okay, so if you haven't written down any of the responses, go ahead and write those. Beautiful. So excellent. Thank you, Miriam. So here's a great example. So Miriam had a part that was running around and wouldn't be still. And she asked it the question, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped doing that behavior? And it said it would become vulnerable to being hurt if it's still. Okay? So we can imagine why a part who thinks running around is its only way to be safe would not want to stop running around. Okay. 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 Okay, so now we're going to go and everybody just write down your answers, and I want to go into the second phase, but I just want to, see a little more feedback. Just everybody let me know if they're hanging in there, if it feels clear. Anybody who has questions or confusion, please let me know, because it seems like everybody's doing okay. If the part stops, it will become stoic. Okay, good. So Kelly, the question is, we're asking the protector parts or whatever parts came up in the exercise, what that part needs from us, why it feels it's not getting what it needs, what's blocking it, what job does the part do, and how long has the part been doing that job? Okay. If the part stops, I will be out of the game. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so go ahead and finish writing anything that came out. Great, okay. So let's just go back to this. Just because I see some parts. Remember that we're not getting rid of any parts, okay? So sometimes we have parts of us that are doing things, even negative things, like running around, can't sit still, because sitting still means vulnerability. But maybe, like in Miriam's case, that squirrel part has been doing that behavior for so long that it doesn't know any other way of being. So basically, if I tell her squirrel part to stop moving around, That's its job. So it's so identified with the job that it can believe if it doesn't do that job, it won't exist anymore. And I think somebody else said something about this. Yeah, a part that doesn't let me grow and move on. Okay. So remember, the question also to ask is, what are you afraid would happen if you no longer do this behavior? So here's one of the main answers. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So we're going to go in further now, and we're going to ask the part to tell us everything it needs us to know about the history of this job, why it's doing this job, what is this part afraid would happen if it stops doing this job. If the part stops, I will be out of the game. Yes. Blocks of self-confidence coming up. Yes. Right, so maybe you have an overachiever part. So what is your overachiever part afraid will happen if it stops pushing you to overachieve? That you'll fail. Okay, so I'm just going to go with this specific example then, so you can see an example of how we'd work with it. So this part of you that is afraid if it didn't overachieve, it will fail. And that's kind of in essence. Basically the parts are like, well, if I don't do this job, I'm going to fail at protecting you. Fear of exposing insecurity, insanity, right, yes, all these things. And it's good that everybody's sharing this because we can all see that, we're not alone in these neurotic beliefs because of the next step we're going to take, which is whatever the part is afraid of, you will go unnoticed. So, for example, Miriam has a part that is afraid she will go unnoticed if it doesn't keep doing its behavior. Ask that part when it experienced being unnoticed. Ask the part that's afraid of failing when it experienced failing. Ask the part that's afraid of letting your parents down about when you let your parents down. Blocks of self-confidence coming up. Ask that part of you about the times that you messed up and you did things that didn't make you feel confident. So some of you have already gotten it, like Stacy got into the answer from her past life part. She set a house on fire. So not being able to have children. Alfred said his video's frozen. It might just be all the energy. When I was 3. Okay, great. So hopefully your part is showing you a specific incident or a specific age when they had to start this behavior because of something negative that happened for you. So basically we're asking this part for the origin of this behavior. When did it start doing this behavior? If it's making you confused, when did it start using confusion? Because sometimes confusion is a way to just keep you unaware of something that's too overwhelming to be aware of. Okay. So hopefully people are getting some answers to this. Please let me know. Age 13, beautiful, great. Sexual trauma, okay, great. Okay. Yes, your part can be a trap if you do it backwards, yes. But your part can be a wonderful co-creator if you do it forwards. Okay, so I'm hoping that most people have found an age or an experience or an incident. So let's say, you know, this part of you is showing you that it started doing this job in adolescence or when you were 3. So, like, let's say Miriam's part started doing this in adolescence, the part that, you know, is worried about her going unnoticed. So, for example, in Miriam's case, I would have her ask that part, well, show me a time when I went unnoticed. Show me the time when you experienced me going unnoticed. So, you know, one part is afraid of insanity, one person. So ask your part, when did this part experience insanity? Fear of exposing insecurity. So when did this part of you experience the insecurity? Yes. When I was 11 after my father passed, needed answers as to why. Okay, beautiful. So yeah, so just invite these parts of you to show you when they started doing whatever it is that they do. Okay, beautiful. Diana's getting very visual images from 1 year old mostly, then 4 to 6 years old. Okay, good. Okay, so as you're seeing all your individual stories and you're getting pulled into some part of your timeline where something is stuck, and this incident is what started the behavior of this part. Neglect. Carolyn says that's what she's going through with her son right now, Ernest. Yeah, and it's no coincidence that people are coming on here experiencing a lot of similar stuff. After transferring schools in middle school, okay, that's when Miriam felt like she went unnoticed. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to respond to what I'm seeing, and I'm hoping that other people are actually seeing stuff. You know, if you don't feel comfortable commenting, that's okay. You can, you know, keep it private. That's fine. So now, this part of you has showed you some incident or some period in time. Now I want you to connect back in once again with that higher self energy. So connecting with any one of these words, even if you can just find curiosity or calmness, or just feel connected to what's happening. My favorite one to use is compassion and curiosity, actually, wherever that is, these two. It's an excellent energy to bring into a part. So feeling your sense of compassion and curiosity, take that vibrational energy, so step into your self energy. And as yourself, I want you to just go to that part. So like in Miriam's case, I want Miriam as herself, as her higher self, to just go to that adolescent part that just transferred schools in middle school. And I want you to sit with that part, like in Miriam's case, just go sit next to that part. Put your arm around the part if it allows you to. Some parts at first may not allow you to touch them. That's okay. Hold the hand of the part, or, you know, smile, you know, give it a hug if it allows you to. And I want you to ask that part of you to just let you know everything it needs you to know about that experience. So Monique had this experience. She couldn't tie her shoe, and then her dad was spanking her because she couldn't do it. Yeah, so it sounds like a dad that was like really, really, really intense. So Monique, I want you to go right now as yourself, in your self energy. I want you to go to that part of you that just got spanked by your dad, and I want you to sit with her. Maybe she can sit on your lap. Okay. I don't know your actual name, MRSB, sorry. So I want you to go to your 19-year-old self. Please go to her as your higher self. Put your arm around her. And everybody just go to these parts as yourself and ask them to tell you everything they need you to know about what happened, so that you can understand it all the way. Let them feel what they're feeling. If you're crying right now, if you're feeling a lot of emotions, it's all right. I'm going to keep you anchored here. So I'll be kind of like an anchor to help you come back out, so you can let yourself feel it completely, even if it feels quite overwhelming. Allow the part of you to just really express what it felt like. Sometimes we have protectors that mean well. They're like adultified parts, and they come in and they try to say it wasn't that bad. You know, they mean well. They just don't want you to feel the pain. But in a lot of these instances that you all are listing, it was that bad. It was really bad for you then. So it's understandable if you need to cry, or maybe you need to scream. If you're somewhere you can scream. Yes, crying. Thank you, Michelle, for the feedback. Yes, allow yourself to cry. Maybe you need to hit something. I like to do temper tantrums with pillows. I like to throw stuff. Yeah, cry, of course. I'm seeing what your stories are, and it would be strange if you weren't crying, everybody. Yeah, root chakra protectors, yeah. So whatever you need to do to express what you're feeling right now. Maybe a part of you wants to actually write it. That's okay. It might be something that's a little more subtle. So you can have traumas going on that aren't really emotionally huge. It could be like a quiet loneliness, you know? Maybe the crying is just quiet. Compassion for yourself, yes. Good. Let the tears out, Portia. Stacy's not crying. That's fine too. So the idea is, you know, just to be authentically with whatever's coming. There's no crying in baseball. Just be with whatever's coming up. Because everything is welcome. Remember this one. Everything is welcome. Good. Okay. Good. So just continue. You need your unicorns. Good. You can invite unicorns in. So if your higher self is in the scene and you're getting a wall now. Okay. Thanks, Phoenix. So maybe you're getting a wall because suddenly it went through deep. Too deep. There's a protector saying, I don't need this. But I can feel my ancestors saying, stay, you need this. Yes. Thank you, ancestors. And thank you, protector. Carlene, your protector just doesn't want you to get stuck in the pain. Thank you, Michael. Phoenix, so you're getting a wall now. Okay, so those of you who are in with your part, please continue to love it up and let it tell you everything. Everything. Let it tell you the full story. Let it have its full range of emotions. Some people may experience this. Phoenix says she's getting a wall now. So we can go in and we can find an exiled inner child that's in so much pain that our system comes in and stops the process. Our protectors come back in. Oh, thank you for being here, Michelle. I really appreciate you, just your presence. Thank you. Yes, Lisa, her little girl is sitting on her lap. Good, good. Love her, give her attention, listen to her, let her know that you're there. And guess what? You're actually going back in time right now to these parts. So you are changing your history right now. Yeah, your protector is saying don't be sad. Your dad was wounded and you're feeling his wounds. Now, thank you, protector of Monique. Monique, ask that protector if it would be willing to just step aside. It doesn't have to leave. And this is the same for Phoenix with your wall. Okay, so this is what, when your protector, so we went in really deep. The protectors let us go in, and then when they saw how deep it was, they're like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. So for those of you having this going on, ask that protector part, would it be okay if it just sits to the side now It doesn't have to leave. It can stay here at the ready on guard. But if it would just step aside just for a moment so that this exiled part of you that's in the pain can just really have his or her experience and let you know what the experience was like for him or her at that time. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, Miriam. It's okay if it's not verbal. It might be nonverbal, but if it's letting you stroke its fur, that's a huge shift. Good. Okay, and then Stacy, yeah, you don't have to pull her, just invite, just to keep inviting everything, not forcing anything. So, okay, so Monique and Phoenix, were your protectors willing to step back? So basically, if the protectors are jumping back in, just ask them if they'd be willing just to step aside to let this part of you just express how it felt. And I promise those protectors that it's going to be okay and we're not going to get stuck in the feeling. So basically, your protectors are afraid that if you go into these feelings, you're going to get stuck there forever in this dungeon of pain. And I promise these protectors that we have a ladder of light. And by allowing this part to express what it actually felt at the time, what it's actually feeling in that moment, because you're time traveling right now, it's going to make it possible for that part of you to get free and get out of that space. Yes? Okay, beautiful. Okay, Phoenix, I hope that it has a message before it will go. Yeah. So I'm too understanding to allow myself. Yes. So Portia, you probably have a real intelligent part, like you might have a mental part, a very logical part, or maybe it's a very wise, self-like part that, is like, well, we should forgive everybody because we're all in it and blah, blah, blah. And that's okay for that part to have that perspective because there's something to that. But in order to get to the point where the forgiveness is real and the forgiveness, it's funny, I'm like talking to you like you're there in the comments. In order for the forgiveness to become genuine and real, that part of you has to be allowed to express what it really felt at the time. So right now it's kind of like we're working inside a dream together, yeah? But the dream had real consequences and real feelings. The embodiment experience is an illusion, but the feelings are real. Yeah. So sometimes we have protectors that they're self-like protectors that want to hurry up and be like the higher self. So they don't allow any negative emotions or feeling judgment. The protector allowed me to do crying first. Yeah, great. The protectors have a lot of pain. Thank you, Monique. One of the protectors is not willing to move. Okay, beautiful. So if everybody would be okay with this, I want to slow down. I know some of you are having a lot of progress, and I'll get to the next step soon, but it never hurts to stay and keep loving up these parts. So just whatever's going on, if the part has finished expressing, just sit there and just love the part. Tell that part you're here for it, you love it, and from now on, you're always going to be there for this part as your higher self. Okay. So the protector is not willing to move. Okay, Phoenix. I'm going to be speaking to Phoenix directly because we can all learn from this. Okay, so Phoenix, ask the protector, what are you afraid would happen if you move and allow us to continue to do this work? What is the fear that this protector has? Wow. Rebecca just joined and totally knocked the thing out. Hi, Rebecca. But I'm back on. Okay. So the protectors that aren't willing to move, we ask them, what are you afraid would happen if you step aside, protectors, and allow us to keep going into this experience at this point in the timeline where there's a lot of pain that a part of us had experienced? What are you afraid, protectors, will happen if we allow this exiled part of ourselves to fully express what it's experiencing and how it was at the time? Death and pain. Okay. So Phoenix, ask this projector part of you, did it have an experience of going into pain that was so great it felt like death? Has it had that experience before? Have you been in this room? Because we're all kind of going in rooms in our inner house right now. So Phoenix, has this protector part been in this room before and had a bad experience when you let yourself authentically express your feelings? Because some of your protectors, maybe you did other healing systems and you just got re-injured. Or, you know, you had a teacher or a guru that had a lot of negative parts and you ended up in a bad situation, whatever reason. In a past life. Okay. Okay, beautiful. So, Phoenix, ask, yeah, I know I'm having technical stuff too, Michelle. Phoenix, ask that part of you, what would it be like if you could go into this space with your exiled part that's in a lot of pain? What would it be like if you could go in and that part could experience and express the pain that it is experiencing and it wouldn't bother you at all? What would it be like if you could stay totally calm and connected and courageous while that part also got to express itself? What would it be like to have your cake and eat it too? So be able to let this part express itself without you actually getting stuck in pain. Ernest, I am your overlord. Yes. My friend Ernest is here, one of my best friends we met when I was 15. Stacy talks about a little girl who always protected a door, wouldn't let her into a room until she felt safe telling adults things. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so, you know, I won't assume. I know a lot of people, yes, had experiences with fake gurus, people who wanted you to get like addicted to them and stuck into them. They wanted to pull from your energy. I'm doing this because I want everybody to be able to do this for yourself. If I did everybody on my friends list, I would be working so much I'd be exhausted. So I'm not interested in followers or anything like that. I'm interested in just getting this out so that everybody's getting the healing, and everywhere I go, everyone I'm involved with is like self-led and living an off-the-chain existence. So your protectors, they have a real good reason to put the brakes on. So why don't we all just collectively, you know, just to help Phoenix out also, let's all just take a moment and thank the protectors for all they've done to keep the pain out of our awareness, because up until now it just wasn't safe to feel the pain. We shouldn't have to defend our work. Yeah, and the protectors, yeah. Look, if you were, let's say, sexually abused at 5 years old by a family member, you couldn't get out of the house, you couldn't even feed yourself, there was nowhere to go, and a protector comes up that numbs you and takes you out of your body, how can we be angry at that protector? If you have a part of you that, you know, drinks alcohol to numb you out because you can't handle the pain, or that part of you doesn't know how to handle the pain, how can we be angry at it? These protectors, what they did at the time was adaptive, so just remembering that. So let's just really thank them. Okay, so Phoenix, it wants to, but it's saying not right now. So here's the other side of the coin. Like Phoenix's case, Phoenix, maybe your protector knows that the layer that you're about to get into is going to like exhaust you and you have to sleep all weekend. And maybe you have something to do this weekend. So Phoenix, I would invite this protector, if it's really adamant about not going forward tonight, I invite that protector to take a break and try again. Or maybe you do a private session with me. Or someone else. You know, there's IFS therapists everywhere. Okay, good. So we always hit huge walls before blessings. Yes. Okay. So sincere thanks to the protectors who put the brakes on and, you know, clarified things and made sure we were safe. So many of you are still at this step now where you're in with this exiled part that's in a lot of pain or was in a lot of pain, and you're hugging it, loving it up. Miriam had the squirrel that wouldn't sit still, and now it's finally letting her pet it, and so forth. Okay, Phoenix, beautiful. Yeah, and thanks, Phoenix, for this, because that's a good example. Not every session goes by the book. Sometimes you reach a point where it's enough, and your nervous system has had enough, and you need to take a break. And if you're feeling that, thank your parts, thank everything in your system that came forward tonight. I don't even know what time it is. And you may want to shut this off now and just go sleep. But if you're feeling like you can go further, the next step is really important to complete the process. So, okay, so I'm just assuming everybody's worked with the protectors. Those whose protectors won't back down, tonight is not the night. And that's okay. And I thank your protectors for having the wisdom to know that, so that you don't overexhaust yourself before whatever it is you have to do this weekend. I thank your protectors for making sure you wait for the right time to do this monumental work. Because once you do the next step, everything's going to change for your system. Okay? Yeah, some protectors want privacy. And I have the secrets gate in my human design. I'm like a big secrets person. That's why I'm really grateful that people are willing to speak. So for those of you who have protectors who are like, do not you dare comment, I respect that. Because I know people who have gone through some wild stuff and you don't want to discuss it publicly. I have stuff that I went through I don't care to discuss publicly. Nothing wrong with that. That's wise. That's correct for your system. So that's what you do. Okay. All about pushing past resistance. So we can have parts that want to push past resistance, but remember, the self has no agenda. Pushing past resistance is an agenda, so that's a part. It's not the self, and we want to be self-led. So, yes, my protectors can love your protectors. Okay, so for those of you who are still with this exile, let's take the next step. So you're hugging this part, holding the hand, giving it love, letting it express whatever happened. A lot of you, found yourself back in time in an abusive situation. You're seeing what's going on. Just ask the part now, has it expressed everything? Has it shown you everything you need to know about what happened to that part of you? Is there anything else you need to know before we take the next step? And I'll just give it a minute, and then we're going to go to one of the final steps. Okay. So the next step, not quite the final step, but we're almost at the end. The next step is to ask this part of you, the part that's exiled, the part that's stuck in this pain and has been stuck in this memory, whether it's your dad spanking you because you couldn't tie your shoes at 3, or you just escaped from, sex trade industry. I mean, there's some severe stuff that happened. So you're with these parts of you that were holding the trauma, that were stuck at that point in the timeline. Ask these parts of you, are you ready to leave this scene? Are you ready to leave this scenario? Are you ready to leave this room? Are you ready to leave this situation? And then just please let me know if they're saying yes in the comments. Okay, so are your exiled parts, the parts that were in pain, horror that needs to be overcome? Okay. So like in Michelle's case, horror that needs to be overcome. So if that part doesn't feel like the horror has been overcome, you may need to repeat the session so the part can really show you the full horror. And maybe tonight it's too much. That's okay. Sometimes we could do several sessions with one memory. I mean, we're talking about things like human trafficking tonight. So if you need more than one session, that's understandable. Totally understandable. But then Monique, her part is saying yes. So for those of you whose part's saying, I need you to know more, horror that needs to be overcome, there's more work to do, can't even imagine how to begin to leave. Okay, beautiful. Okay. So for those of you who feel like it's not done and you're going to have to revisit, just thank your part. And you can either, yeah, good, thanks, Michelle. You can either, close the video now and just go and rest and do whatever self-care feels right to you right now, or you can continue listening, or always you can come back and do this later. So the next step is, if your part is ready to leave, if it said it's ready to leave, then as your higher self, so we're going to take a second again just to get back into that self energy. So connecting with that feeling of compassion, that's a really important one. Let's just stay with the compassion. So just feeling a real deep compassion for everything that came up tonight. I'm feeling compassion for myself, everyone who's joined, all your parts that showed up. I'm feeling gratitude. And then once you really feel like that compassion is anchored in, then go into this exiled part. Oh, and my bracelet just broke. Wow. Okay. And then Carlene's system just froze out. Okay, so yeah, so I'm saying just, it's okay. Look, this is a live group session, so it's kind of awkward and, it's not really smooth. In a private session, we can be really smooth and focused on you and you alone. And for a lot of these things, that's what you need. Now, if we were all in the same room together, it might be a different experience because it just makes it a little more seamless. But it's an awkward kind of false situation because we're on the internet. So for those of you whose parts are like, okay, I've had enough for tonight, just thank all of them. And I thank them and let it be. But coming back to this compassion, so once you feel really anchored into that compassion, feeling total compassion for this part of you that's showed up and expressed its pain or horror or confusion or sadness or despair, just going to that part and thank it for showing you all of this, and then ask it, if it is ready to leave, where would it prefer to go? And it can go anywhere, because we're in the non-material realm. So this part, some parts want to go to the beach. Sometimes a part may just want to go to an idealized version of your family in another place, in another home. And it doesn't matter if it's not real or not historically accurate. None of that matters. So if you have a part that wants to become a mermaid, I know someone talked about a mermaid part. If you have a part that wants to become a mermaid, she can go and be a mermaid. If you have a part that wants to, just go read books, it can go read books. If you have a part that, wants to go slide down rainbows, that's fine. So just ask the part where it would rather be. I need more work to do. Yes. Good. Okay, so go ahead and ask the part where it would rather be. If it's ready to get out of this space, where would it rather be? What would it rather be doing? Thank you, Rebecca. I've known Rebecca since like 6th grade. Okay. And so if anyone feels comfortable, just let me know what this exiled part wanted to do. Where did it want to go? Where did it move to? And, go ahead and let it move to whatever place it's asking for. Or if it just wants a different job, like maybe you've just been working with a protector and, yeah, in the stars, beautiful. It would rather be happy than sad. Okay, beautiful. So just, Carolyn, ask that part, what would make it happy? What would it like to be doing? Right here in the present, creating, resting. Good. So one part just wants to be in present time. Yes. Excellent. Yeah, so just Carolyn, ask that part, what would make that part happy? She pointed to the sky. She's younger than I thought. Good. Good information. Good, yes. Okay, so that's important. Lisa said her little Lisa wanted to go to a perfect family and stay with me. The different ages gave me all kinds of success stories. Okay, good. So let this part know it can always be with you. You'll always be there for this part. Now that it's had this experience, it knows that yourself exists, and it can connect with you at any time. Okay, Stacy's part wants to pet cats and put dresses on them. Beautiful. So these are, thank you for these examples. So it just normalizes the fact that there's a wide variety of things that are correct for different people. Okay, great. Okay. So let's just take another moment to just enjoy the new scene that this part is in. And for those of you who are still around, if you weren't able to do this step, that's okay. You can just keep sending love to the exiled part. Or if your protectors just really came up strong, just keep sending love to your protectors. And just appreciate their wisdom in knowing when enough is enough. Because it's important to know when enough is enough. This is real work. And, you know, it takes energy and it does a number on our nervous system. So if it was enough for you tonight, that's good to know. Can always come back. She was like, how come you didn't tell me this before? Yes. My part told me in the second exercise she'll always be with me. Yes. If the little girl is sad and feels burdened. Okay, so if the girl is still sad, you're going to have to repeat the process, or maybe, you know, we'll do it in a private session. As I said, because this is a group thing, it's a little bit less smooth. It's a little awkward because I'm trying to make it general enough that it can work for everybody while also sort of addressing specific examples. She's responsible for adult feelings. Michelle was blowing bubbles with a magical wand that someone gifted her inner child today. Perfect, beautiful. Okay, so Stacy's part still feels responsible for adult feelings. So with that part, I would go in and do another session, bringing the higher self in, showing that part that the higher self can take over from here, and this part does not have to be responsible for adult feelings and never did. But that part can only know that by having an experience of the relationship with the higher self being present. So in all these scenarios that you all are describing, you're in scenarios where the self was not present. You were either a child or a young adult, and you either, sometimes even a well-meaning parent, like the example of, you know, getting spanked for not tying your shoes. Your parent was well-meaning in his own way, but he was not self-led, so a wounded part of him was taking over. One of his protectors probably, who was trying to protect you from being stupid or something, or dysfunctional. Yeah, so Stacy has a part. She's tried so many times, it's so stuck. So, yeah. For those of you who are having these stuck issues, I would just recommend doing a one-on-one session, because otherwise I'm going to be diverting way too much, and I want to just close the process. So for those people who are able to go through, we can complete that for them tonight. And for those of you who haven't been able to complete, come back again. Maybe you need to be in a safer situation. Maybe you need a girlfriend or a guy friend or your spouse or your brother or sister to sit with you and just be a witness. Maybe this little exile part of you needs to tell somebody out loud. Sometimes it's important just to tell, yes, acknowledging the protectors totally helps, because it acknowledges the reality and severity of the situation. By acknowledging my protector and saying they're not crazy, I'm acknowledging and recognizing that the situation was effed up. And no wonder there's a protector coming, like in the 5-year-old example. No wonder I have a protector that just takes me out of my body at the first sign of pain or abuse or dysfunction. No wonder. Thank you. Because in the situation of that 5-year-old, if that protector didn't take me out of the body, and I'm a 5-year-old getting abused at the hands of my own parents, who knows what would have happened, you know? Yeah, the protectors are doing the best that they can in the only ways they know how to keep you from pain. But when we introduce the self, you can express the pain, and then as some of you have experienced tonight, you can get that child out of the painful situation so it doesn't have to experience it anymore. And now that the self is there and all these parts, both protectors and exiles, have a direct experience of the self, they know they can count on the self energy. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to close up the actual session. Again, with questions or individual issues, I'll say that we'll just have to do private sessions, because otherwise, I could go on for like hours. And I also have to check in and make, I am in a physical body, so I will need some rest in a while. Writing it helped me do these. Great, thank you. So I'm glad that the writing helped you, Carolyn. The writing just helps to slow it down and get it on paper and make it more real. Okay, so back into the session work. So those of you who got the child out into a good situation, and even those of you who didn't, those of you whose exile is still stuck and needs to do more work, those of you who are just sitting with the protectors, putting up walls, who said enough is enough, I want you to just go in and thank every part that showed up. Starting with the exiled child that was in pain, thank it for showing up, whether or not you completed the process. Let that child know that it took courage and you really appreciate it for showing you what happened and what was going on and what needed attention. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Monique. Like, sincerely, thank you. Stacy, it was completed. Okay, beautiful. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Just thanking all the parts. Because guess what? If your parts wanted to, they could have taken you out at the beginning. Your parts actually can shut down your computer. Your parts can take the electricity off in your house if they need to stop you from doing the work. So thank you to your parts. Thank your parts for letting you sit through this. And I also thank your parts for being patient enough to go through this clunky version of the process, because, I'm trying to guide, dozens of people simultaneously. So thank you to those parts. And really sincerely thank them and just love everything. Even if a part of you came up that you didn't like or didn't understand, just thank it for showing up. Because trust me, there's something beautiful behind it. There's a reason for everything, even the so-called dysfunction. Stacy says hers have started fires in her house. Yeah. So I know a lot of you have experienced some strange, magical, metaphysical things. Okay. Okay, so just taking one more minute just to, going inside, making sure you've thanked every part. If you're not sure, maybe look on your paper, see if there's a part that you missed. Maybe even in the beginning, I know some people had butterflies in their stomach. Somebody said there was like orange, a setting sun, all these parts. I don't know, maybe hopefully the setting sun was a symbol from your system that, it's the end for this trauma. The sun is setting on your trauma, and hopefully that was able to get shifted tonight. So, okay, so just closing that up. If you've been working with eyes closed as you work with your parts, go ahead and open your eyes again. Okay. And then just letting me know. Okay, so I'm not sure if my clock is correct. Can anybody tell me if they know what time it is Pacific time? I don't know if this clock is on daylight savings time or not. But I guess the time doesn't really matter. Just let me just sort of hear back from people, maybe let me know, how did your parts react when you thanked them? If anybody had a specific response. Butterflies gone. Okay. Thank you, butterflies. See, like, butterflies in the stomach can be like, something just to bring your awareness to the fact that something's happening. Michelle wrote, love and light just own this night. Oh, excellent. You rhyme all the time. 8 p.m. Okay, thank you, Pat. Okay, so it was about 2 hours, so that's not too bad, So in my private, Stacy says she totally cleared the contract with the person attacking me. Oh my goodness. Yes. I'm so happy to hear that, Stacy. Thank you for letting me know that. Beautiful. Okay, so, just for me personally right now, I feel like my energy is not ready to do like a theory lecture. But, if people are interested, let me know, and I can, do another workshop someday just to talk about the theory of like how this whole system works. Because there's a lot to learn about what happens when these parts polarize. For example, you can have a manager part that's like anorexic and a firefighter part because it's proactive. So it wants to stay in control so you never experience pain. But then inevitably pain gets triggered, so you might have a firefighter part that comes in and eats an entire chocolate cake in one sitting. So these two start fighting. This part becomes more anorexic, this part binges more, and they're just going back and forth. But meanwhile, all of this is still getting obscured. So we could do more theory about, how this happens and just how to like love these parts no matter what nonsense they're doing. What appears to be nonsense is actually like a kind of it can be a lethal game, I would love to tell you more about Dick Schwartz and how he created the system. Really with the cooperation of his clients. It's a beautiful story, and it really helps you to understand why the system is set up this way and why we work the way we do. But what I really wanted was for you to have a direct experience, and I'm really, really grateful for people showing up tonight, because for some of you, is hugging yourself the same as thanking oneself? Yes, it can be a hug. It doesn't have to be words. Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so I feel like many of you, if not all of you, did have some direct experience of the self energy, and if not, you at least had the experience of a part, even if it was just at the beginning of one thing coming up. So that's great, because that's a first step to just start connecting inside. And you're superheroes for being here, because everything you did for yourself, you did for everyone else in the group tonight, and you did it for the collective. I would love to, in that lecture about, the IFS theory and how it works, just discuss how this, what we see here, we also see in the outer world. Like you could say managers are like culturally white people, and that's, like a cultural category. It does, especially nowadays, it has not necessarily has anything to do with what color you are. Firefighters are like the culturally black people, and they polarize against one another. But meanwhile, neither group is dealing with this, and neither group is bringing this. They just keep fighting. You could say this is the men and the women. You could say this is the women and the men. But this is repeated. This pattern is repeated outside of us. And as these two fight, not only is self obscured, but the exile suffers alone in the dungeon for years and years and years, because they're so busy trying to protect the ego by not allowing you to feel the pain. But then what that does is it obscures the self energy. Because when these parts are extreme, it's because they don't know about this. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Michael. Yeah. One day Michael should do another show about his work. Corn in the Bible. So, we could have a big discussion about how this pattern, which we see inside of us, shows up in the world around us. I think Donald Trump has a lot of these going on because he's not working with these. He's not healing his exiles, and he clearly has some. And he's not being led with this. He's kind of being led with this. And maybe some of these are people around him. So, for now, though, I feel like we've done a lot tonight. I'm really grateful again that you've come, and now I kind of feel like I just have a chatty part, so I don't want to be like chatty, but maybe I'll just open it up to some questions. I'll take a few questions, and then I'll call it a night. And only if people ask for it, I will do another workshop. If people aren't really interested, I won't do it. Because again, I don't want to be doing stuff and assume people need or want something that they don't want. So, Ernest asked, are parts like siblings? Very good question. So the man who created this system, thank you, Michelle, Thank you, everyone, for being here. Connection is what I'm feeling now. Thank you, Carolyn. Connection is one of the C words. Is this? Yes. Connected. Are they like siblings? That's an excellent question, Ernest, because the man who created this system started as a family therapist. And in family therapy, they were taught basically you just shift the roles of the people in the family and all the dysfunction will get cleared out. So he took those principles and he basically applied them to the inner family of the client. Because what he was finding was that if you shift the roles, so say you have like, you know, the golden child of the family, the black sheep of the family, the manager parent, the firefighter parent, if you shifted them out of those roles, some of the dysfunctional behavior stopped, but a lot of it didn't. Because a lot of times the parts in the family, just like the parts inside of you, they're polarized into roles, again, because they're all colluding to avoid the pain of the exile, of the burdened, traumatized inner child that hasn't been healed yet. So they will go to extensive lengths to avoid going down into this dungeon because they don't know about this. So he applied the rules and systems of family therapy. That's why this is called Internal Family Systems Therapy, IFS, and it's IFS for short. Okay, it froze. In my opinion, it could be called magic therapy, but you know, Dick Schwartz came out of the world of academia, and he's very much, he's a PhD, so he did this very much to try to get into that field and shift what's going on in that field. So he's, he lets the client decide whether this is spiritual or magic. He doesn't impose that so much because, there are a lot of people in academia who are going to shut off as soon as you start talking about a higher self or mysticism or spirituality. I'm not a therapist, and I welcome all of that. I don't have any problem with that. I'm all over that. So, for me, it's a very magical system. But Ernest's question was excellent. Are they like siblings? Yes, and you can find in a household, you might have a sibling that's more like a firefighter and one that's more like a manager. You may even have a sibling that's like always stuck in the exiles, like, is it called like emo or, those, goth kind of somebody who's always in sadness and they're in the exile thing and they just stay there. So while, of course, we want the exile to express itself, it can also get extreme and you can get kind of stuck in that emotion because this exile doesn't believe in the self anymore. So, just a word about that. The self was always here. So when these parts get extreme, it's kind of like there's weather going on, but behind all the clouds, there's always the sun, which is the self. No matter what's happening, no matter how disturbed a person may look, the sunshine is there behind the weather. The self is there behind those burdened parts. So the trick is just to help the parts unburden. And the way that we do that is allowing them to experience self directly, which I hope it seems like some of you had that experience tonight. When they experience self directly, they can relieve themselves from the burden of these extreme behaviors of protecting or, just being lost in misery and feeling like that's the totality of experience, feeling this supreme hopelessness. They can let that go because now the self is here and none of that makes any sense anymore. None of it's necessary anymore because now finally the self is in place and everybody's getting what they need. So as the rats example, you don't need the heroin anymore when you're finally getting what you need, which is the community, the stimulation, the sensations, entertainment, all the stuff that the rats in the cages weren't getting initially. So yes, the parts of you can be like fighting siblings, but no matter what happens, everything is approached the same. We approach every part of you with respect, and we invite every part to express itself. We invite every part to come forward. When resistance comes up, you always stop and find out why the resistance is there and what that part needs. And then we just keep bringing this energy into everything. So we're bringing the sunshine of the self into everything and allowing everything to express itself. And then once these parts realize that a self is there, they don't have to do their job anymore. And you can invite even the protectors to do another job. So like maybe you had a protector, like I have a protector that's like really perfectionist. Like if I allowed her to, she would have not let me do the video tonight because my eyeliner was not perfectly symmetrical. Like that is her thing, right? But I brought the self energy in and I got her to step aside. Now if she could be totally unburdened, or I could invite her to take on a different job. Like maybe her job could be to watch makeup tutorials so that we get more efficient and better at doing makeup so she can feel confident. And that's still healthy. The burden side of her would be to have like so much fear about makeup not being perfect that she doesn't even allow me to do a video. So she's closing me off from experience. That's the burdened protector. The happy protector would be like, girl, I want you to look good so you can feel confident, so I'm going to study all the makeup tutorials on YouTube and I'm going to learn to do perfect winged eyeliner. So, that's okay. There's all type of different roles, but if she didn't know this was here, she wouldn't be able to relax back enough to take on that new role. She would be totally stuck in the perfectionism because she's afraid of some part of me that, doesn't want to be judged, or people say, whatever they would say about, oh, her makeup's so messed up, she needs help or whatever. So the manager is just trying to help protect me from judgment. And so I love her. But, I can love somebody. That doesn't mean they get to make decisions for me. The self is who ultimately we want making the decisions. But if your protectors are really afraid and they don't even know a self exists, they're not going to let the self in. I had a part in a session once, and I remember it had like a, what are those things like in a submarine where you look out, like a periscope or whatever, and it was just looking out, and it spent its entire life just waiting for danger. And so I came up to this part and I tapped it on the back as my higher self, and it turned around and looked up at me with these huge eyes. It was in so much shock. It had no idea I had a higher self. And it had been spending decades in terror waiting to be attacked. So then once it finally found me, well, it was in shock for a while and it just asked to go on vacation. And then eventually it was able to, absorb and align with myself. So it doesn't go away. It's still there looking. If it sees danger, it's going to tell me. But I don't really experience that type of danger that it was looking for. It's more like, oh, let's be aware. The more self-led you become, the less danger you experience because you're really in alignment with, this mystical higher part of you that's just lining things up. And instead of danger, now you have like delight and excitement. So that's what we're moving towards. All right, I'm just going to check in. Okay. Oh, thanks, Ernest, for the feedback. Okay, Diana, though, through meditate. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close it now. Because we did a lot of work and I really want to acknowledge that. I do have a tendency, I get really excited with the work, and so sometimes I go too long in sessions just because I'm so excited and a part of me wants to make sure everybody gets their exiles unburdened. But it's really doing you a disservice to make you go too far too fast, because the exile is going to get unburdened whenever it's time. You've had a taste of this now, you see what's possible, and when the time is right, it will happen. So we don't have to be nervous, we don't have to have an agenda, we don't have to rush. It's available. I'm available. If you want, you can just keep repeating, this workshop. I had a slide with the information. I think most of you know about activation coaching, but if you don't, I don't think I have the slide. But anyway, go to the website, activationcoaching.com, and you can book a private session if you feel that you need it. Or you can continue to watch the video. That's fine too. But if you just find that you come to a point where you really feel stuck, or there's a protector that just really can't back down and is terrified, then sometimes a private session is really helpful. And it would be beautiful one day, maybe, we could do a workshop in person somewhere, a lot of us coming together, because some things are appropriate to do one-on-one in private. And then there are some things that become more easily unburdened in a group. So I've had a lot of experiences where we'll have one person in the center playing therapist, the role of the therapist, holding self, and then one person being the client, and then a circle of people on the outside just holding self energy. And it's so incredible what happens in a space like that, because it creates such a deep anchor that people can go in really far, and everybody gets healed from those situations. Even just witnessing somebody else healing is healing for the witness. Okay, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. Oh, Kayvon joined. So Kayvon must be in the other room. I was going to actually invite Kayvon in this evening to say some things about self-leadership, but he had a session today. So, you know, as I said earlier. Oh, wow. As I said earlier, you know, sometimes it's just too much and we have to put a lid on it. But Michelle said she would like to touch on the Aboriginal spirit wanting to be heard. Oh, thank you, Kayvon. So, Michelle, you're probably seen one of my teachers, Frankie. He was a teacher that I worked with that taught me a lot about the different dimensions and a lot of other things. Ernest says hi, Kayvon. So I'm grateful that Frankie is present, and I hope that he was happy with the work that I did. Okay, so I'm going to close now unless there's any last questions or comments. Activationcoaching.com is my website. You can also go to selfleadership.org, the Center for Self-Leadership. Oh, I think I have it. Oh, yes. Do I have it? Yes, good. Okay. So this is Kayvon and I. This is our coaching website for both IFS, emotional clearing sessions with me, and Kayvon's Human Design. This is selfleadership.org is the Center for Self-Leadership. So this is like the main IFS website that Dick Schwartz set up. And it has in here, there is a list of all the therapists, I think even around the world, there's a listing who have done the IFS training. So if you want to do something in person and you're not, you know, in a city near me, and I move around a lot, but if you can't meet me in person, you might want to find a therapist in your area, because sometimes it feels really good to just be with another human in person. I like working online. I'm grateful that this is here because I'm able to work with people all over the place, but I do like working in person. And, you know, to me it adds a little sense of security when someone's actually there with you, but somehow, even when I work with people on Skype or phone, it still works. So, you know, there's obviously stuff going on beyond the physical realm. So yeah, and with the activation coaching, so we found that, you know, this IFS works really well with human design, because with IFS, it's like you're kind of like dissolving the not self, and then your burden parts just come in alignment with yourself, and you become like shiny and new. And then once you go through that process, we have the human design for you, which is like a blueprint. It's like the owner's manual for your vehicle. So once you've cleared and healed the not self and you're ready to be self-led, now we have a manual of how you operate with all the shortcuts. So then you can really shift into your power, because you no longer have these little bits of energy being pulled down at different parts of your timeline where they're burdened, you know, terrified or, you know, abused parts of you. All that energy now can align with yourself and your soul's purpose. And then with the human design, it's like validation of, you know, your superpowers, what chakra is your inner authority. So everybody has a particular chakra that the soul uses to speak to you most definitely, and that's how you make your decisions. And you can also learn about your aura type, which many of you probably saw our other workshop. Rachel said, when's your workshop, Kayvon? I keep trying to get him to do workshops. The issue with Kayvon and the human design is, you know, as you've even seen tonight, it's difficult to do this work in groups, especially online. Ultimately, Kayvon and I feel like we do our best work when we're one-on-one with somebody, because we can really address that person's issue, as opposed to just kind of generally trying to throw stuff out there. But we will be doing further workshops Yes, he just needs to talk, right, Stacy? I know. I love hearing Kayvon speak. So we have other, I don't know if that's who you're talking about. Kayvon said he already did his the other day and barely survived. Yeah, we were quite tired after the last workshop. Okay, so I feel like now I just have a jibber jabber part. It feels like the work is complete. Any last comments? And just again, thank you to everybody. Yeah, people come in and you ride the wave of energy. Yeah, that is what the workshop is, Stacy. And it's probably just my mental and nervous and manager parts that are like, it's never good enough. But it doesn't have to be perfect. This is an introduction. Yeah, thank you, Rachel, for being here. Thank you, Stacy. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to sign off. So once again, you can find out about my work here. You can find out more about IFS and IFS trainings. If any healers want to go deeper into this work, there's 3 levels to the training. You know, it's a bit of an investment in time and finances, but it is spectacular. I never go anywhere without my IFS toolkit. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm really appreciative, and thank you to the ancestors who showed up, to all the angels and guides, all our friends in the other dimensions who obviously came and really held it down for us, because somehow, even though, thank you, Melissa, I appreciate you being here so much. I love you. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. So Melissa, for those of you who weren't here, she's the one who introduced me to IFS. So I'm just grateful that somehow, even through this clunky group experience, you know, people got something valuable out of it. You want to come in? Oh, Kayvon's going to peek in. There's people kind of hanging on.
I know,
it's sort of like a party. Well, now I feel like having a party.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing, everybody? Thank you all for showing up and giving Michelle the support, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. How we're all waking up. I'm loving it. How we're coming together and just blowing the boundaries apart. Mm-hmm. You know, so be proud of yourself tonight. You know, and be proud of yourself beyond tonight. You know, and remember, you are loved. You are forgiven, and it's all good. So let's go. Let's power up. Let's activate. And I love you all. Straight up.
So everyone, Stacy said something important about the workshops, that people just come in and ride the energy. So I know that, you know, you like to work one-on-one, but it seems like people enjoyed your workshop. So
no, we're gonna be doing a little bit. We're gonna be doing more.
Yeah, we'll do some more stuff.
And I definitely appreciate all of the responses. I appreciate all of you guys showing up, and more soon come.
Yeah, and just thank you. A lot of you, I can see you're like really seasoned practitioners. Even if you didn't use this method, I can really tell a lot of you have been doing your work, and I just want to really respect that. It's really powerful to me that people are able to like successfully go through this like over a Facebook live feed. So it shows that you've already done a lot of work. Even just showing up here tonight, you've obviously done work, because otherwise your protectors would like probably actually not have even allowed you to see the post on Facebook. So, you know, it means something, and just really congratulate yourself that you've come this far, because there's a lot of people for whom even just sitting in the beginning part of one of this session is like too much for them. So congratulations. And again, you know, everything that you do for yourself with this work, you're doing for all of us. You're doing it for future generations, and you're doing it for past generations, because what we did tonight, hey, come out, 6-3 Mafia. What we did tonight, you know, we went back in time and we changed our timelines. You got exiles out of those horrible situations, but you had your cake and you're eating it too, because you got them out, but you also got the lesson. You also got the clarity. You also got the forgiveness. And now it's a sincere, authentic forgiveness, as opposed to like a self-like part that's pretending to be the self and pretending to be forgiving, but meanwhile you have this like festering pain and fury and anger inside of you. So, you know, now we can have like real forgiveness, because if you don't have those parts screaming in pain anymore that you have to attend to, it's a lot easier to really forgive whomever, you know, apparently caused the pain at that time. Smells like burnt hair. There's people on here that were like seeing other entities and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, no, this is this is for real. Like,
there's some real.
We are not in
G's
Kansas.
On this.
We are not in Kansas anymore. There are wizards and all type of stuff on this call. Like, you know, and this is what we're establishing. You know, this. I'm good, but doing stuff like this, you know, this is setting the bar for your vibration. This is you know, this is the type of work to where you can't ever go back. Like you can't unlearn, you can't ungo where you went at tonight. You know, and you see just how easy it is to actually go back and do it, and to know that this type of work is available. So you know, that's the key thing, just to realize that help is here, and even, you know, when you pray and when you meditate, it's people, and there's some people that's connected to that collective consciousness and that can hear these prayers, and it's not some invisible figure outside of yourself. As you can see, we are real. So so you know, this is how you know when it becomes real and anchored into your 3D reality. This is how you know that you are, you know, on the right road to, you know, your expansion, to your that's it, to your expansion,
to your self-leadership.
To your self-leadership, yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's important to recognize, you know, a lot of you out there I've worked with even individually. A lot of you are really super powerful healers in your own right. And Kayvon and I feel called to, you know, heal the healers. And fortunately, in our relationship, you know, we're healing each other all the time. Kayvon does work on me. I do work on him. You know, I do work supporting him. He does work supporting me in my process. So, you know, everybody here is like a master in their own right. So it's really important to state that, and so, you know, everybody knows we're clear on who you are. We recognize you. So it's just that we found these really excellent tools, and, you know, I came in, if you know human design, I'm on the 6-3 left angle cross of healing. So, you know, I used to kind of have doubts. I was running away from this for a while. Like, I don't want to do this work, you know. Who am I to do this for? All those things. But, like, that's my incarnation cross. So I'm a healer for real. And I found this amazing toolkit, and it can help you go through the process with less negativity, less trial and error, less pain, and get excellent results. So, you know, between the IFS and human design, we feel really privileged to be sharing it, because we feel so privileged to have the information. So what would it, like, it would be weird to just have it and then see everybody suffering and, like, not say, hey, look, we have this thing over here. So, again, as I said, it was a free workshop, and everybody paid tonight. You paid attention, you paid with your energy, you paid with your self-energy, with your light, with your insights, with your third eyes that are so open that you're seeing other things happening in the non-material realm. You're seeing my aura change. You know, you're seeing, as in Chris's case, my father. So thank you. I feel... my parts are really relaxing now, because I was very nervous about doing this, because I do, you know, I hold your parts really dearly, and I want them to be safe, and I want them to get the healing. But I also know that by doing this for a group, lots of people can do it, and not everybody has the money to do an individual session with me. Not everybody has the need. Some people got what they needed tonight, and I'm only one person, so the fewer individual sessions I need to do, you know, the easier it is for me. If I can just do, you know, dozens of people can watch this, and then, you know, dozens can watch it in the replay. So thank you for coming, and just thank you for lending your energy and your brilliance and your beauty, and we love you guys.
Yes. And just a quick, Ernest said we need to contact Kanye. So
look, we put it in the ethers.
We put it in the ethers. You know, for a lot of these people that's out here that need help. You know, whether you're a celebrity or whether you just have a regular job. You know, and you know, and only about 3 or 4 people know you. So the store is open. You know what I mean, and the message was put out there. So and just to let you guys know, he contacted me on the astral plane. So you know, it's going to be soon. I feel like it's going to be soon, and I do a lot of work on the astral plane, and I see a lot of people. So Kanye definitely came up to me, and I told him about the human design, and he sat down. He like actually went into this room. We walked into a room, and he sat down, and he's pretty much just waiting for me to get my laptop. So it's going down, you know, and that's just what it is. It's going down. It's going down. Good. I'm happy you said something about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the space that Kayvon and I are in right now is that, you know, as we go deeper in the process in ourselves, it's like we really are finding that everything can be healed. And, you know, the more that we do this work and the more you become self-led, you realize Obama is not your leader. Trump is not your leader. Hillary Clinton is not your leader. Nobody is your leader. No government can stop your aura from functioning. No government can shut down your inner authority.
Nope.
No government can remove yourself from existence. Now, your parts can obscure the self to protect you. But I need to say a word on that, actually, because I didn't touch upon this. So what has happened for a lot of us is that as children, we do embody self-energy. And what happens? You're being smart, you're talking back, how dare you backtalk me, who do you think you are?
You're trying to crawl before you walk.
Yeah, and like, you know, let's say your parent is out of order and being very self-led, you point that out. Well, a lot of us come from cultures where children do not correct their parents. You know, so you might have gotten smacked in the face. So what does your system learn? Ooh, being self-led gets me smacked in the face. I better shut up. Or let's say it's something way more abusive, and if you're self-led, you know, and you're getting sexually abused, and you try to like shine light on what's going on, and your abuser is literally overcome by a demon, that demon is not going to take too well to your self-energy being present. So guess what? It's going to scare the shit out of you. It's going to abuse you further. So we've had situations as children where we were self-led and it got us in trouble. So understand and respect why your parts may be trying to stop you from being self-led. Because as I said at the beginning, I had parts that were terrified of allowing me to be self-led. And so I healed those parts. And now I'm so excited. Like, I'm excited to have a partner. And if you know Lucian, my dog, like, if I'm not self-led, he lets me know. He flatters nobody.
Oh, yeah.
He has no problem in telling you when you're wrong and off and your energy's bad. So, you know, this is a tool that is just helping us to see that, you know, all this stuff that when I was younger, I felt like I was being like so, I don't know, unrealistic, or, you know, oh, you're such a hippie, dopey hippie, you're so silly, that's so, you know, what do you think, like, this isn't heaven, this is earth, you know, we're here to learn hard lessons. Yeah, but we already learned the hard lessons. So now we have the tools to create a situation where instead of our children having to recover from hard lessons, we're teaching them supportive, self-led lessons from the beginning. We're teaching them respect and love and kindness and self-leadership from the beginning. So we're giving them a childhood they don't have to recover from.
Yes.
And that's actually possible. Of course, you're going to have, you know, nicks and scratches and everything, but we're talking about, you know, just a fundamentally different way of existing as humans. So the fact that people show up and there's still like 19 people listening, that means so much to us, because it's like, okay, there's a lot of us ready for it. And, you know, just on a selfish level, we're like, great, we're going to actually really be able to experience the expansion of this, as opposed to we're in this nice little bubble where we have a great relationship and we experience increasing self-leadership and we're very happy. But then if my friend calls and she's like, oh, everything's terrible, blah, blah. I want her to experience this too.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't feel good to see people suffering when you found keys to get yourself out of suffering. And these keys, I can hand them off to you and there's no strings attached to me. I don't have to be your guru. I don't have to be your authority. I don't even have to be your healer, because as you've seen tonight, I directed your higher self to go in and do the healing.
Yes.
I'm just here like as a friend providing support. That's like my job.
Yes, and you do a great job.
Thank you.
So,
is that good? Are we done?
I'm done.
Okay.
That was my workshop. That was my participation.
Yes. Rebecca said, show me the door. I want to open it. Yeah, so go back and listen to the whole thing and, you know, see if it works for you, Rebecca. And then, like I said, if you need individual support, I do sessions.
Also, if you don't see a door, just draw one.
Just draw one.
Create it. Create the door.
That's what you can do. Who is interested in lucid dreaming and out-of-body experience workshops? I'm thinking I could maybe interview Kayvon about, he's had hundreds of OBEs and lots of lucid dreams, so maybe I could interview him about techniques. So that's something that's on the table. The other one that's on the table is another workshop on this IFS system, not so much an experience, but more just talking about the theory. So if you're interested, Facebook, inbox us or email us, activationcoaching@gmail.com. I would really like to interview Kayvon about the lucid dreaming stuff, because talk about power. You know, we did a lot of work tonight. The work that he's doing is helping you to experience for yourself that we do not die.
Yes.
There's no real death. So I'm kind of excited about everybody hearing that information and getting the skills to experience that for yourself. So that's something we want to do. So yeah, so we welcome the feedback. Look under the carpet. We welcome the feedback. You know, let us know what you want a workshop. I know Lisa was here.
Love you, Lisa. How you doing?
It's so exciting. Like, people from grammar school are here. People from my high school are here.
Yes.
People from all times in my life are here, and it's so beautiful.
Yes.
So yeah, so let us know the feedback. Tell us what you want to know about, because Kayvon has to be invited, and I work best in response. So if you say, I really want a workshop about this, then it's easier for us, because then we know it's actually needed, and we're not just initiating and imagining something, and meanwhile there's crickets because nobody actually cares about the subject.
Yes. And Lisa said it right there. She drew that door and she was out the job. The next day she was gone. So, you know, when you guys work with me, especially if you work with me and you are a generator, and if you're a generator and you draw that door, oh, you better believe that door is full of energy. And that is for real, you know, and you will open that door, you will walk through it, and you will be released from whatever reality that was on the side that you're leaving from. So, you know, just one quick thing, and understand that a lot of this stuff deals in the realm of the imagination. The imagination is the fuel for our reality. Mm-hmm. So everything you imagine is real, it's touch, it's alive, and it's tangible, you know, but it also can disappear just like a regular illusion. So just know we live in the realm of imagination, and if we live in the realm of imagination and you are imaginative and you have a very imaginative or creative, fantastical type mind, then you are going to be one of the main people in this reality that's going to be called on to be a creator of the new services or the new world or whatever it is. This realm is more so ruled by our imagination.
Yes.
And when you start to really anchor that in and literally pull that in, you'll start to see it's really no limits. This is what they mean by no limit. You know, if you really want to be a no limit soldier, it's all about your imagination.
Yeah, Stacy says, I can't wait to see the results after this clearing. Yeah, so in my experience, like I said, whatever you cleared tonight, you actually went back in time and cleared your timeline. And you may see in this physical reality evidence of that in the next 24 hours. Because that does happen. You know, and so, you know, now what are we talking about? Oh, I can go back and change my past? What are you talking about? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. You can actually change that vibration. If you don't want it to be too literal, just think of you've just changed the vibration. You had an energy stuck in a certain vibration that's no longer there, stuck anymore. You changed the fabric of your reality. Who cares what they're doing at CERN labs? There's no need to be afraid of it, because they're not source. You just connected with your source energy to go back in time and change the vibration on your timeline in a past experience. That's pretty powerful.
You are the CERN.
Yeah, you are.
You are the one concerned. So you made the switch.
Can I just quickly, Michelle, I'm scared about that, about OBEs. I left my body and had such a hard time getting back into my body. Yes, see, this is why I feel like it would be worth it to do a workshop on that, and I can just interview you if that makes you more comfortable.
Yeah, that's so
because that type of stuff, you know, everybody's got different blocks about it. I try to do OBEs from waking life. The last time I did it, I got nauseous and literally threw up because, you know, my body was resisting, mental programs resisting. For me, I can only have OBEs from being asleep. I have yet to, well, there's a couple times. if I just want to try to go in and have one on purpose from waking life, I have a lot of blocks. So Kayvon is good at coaching you about how to work with that stuff and all that sort of thing. And, to have the power to do that is really important because as you've seen tonight, we basically had a shared dreaming experience tonight in the sense that I walked with you into your dream of your past. It's like going into a lucid dream, and we shifted what happened there. This is like dream work, the IFS. It's just waking life dream work.
Yes.
So Kayvon coaches people in the dream work where you actually leave the body and you're no longer operating on this realm and what happens there. And it's really important to know. I unfortunately was told about a young woman who committed suicide earlier this year because she was getting interdimensionally harassed so badly. So that's unacceptable to me.
Yeah.
Especially if we know the skills. Kayvon can teach you about protection shields and all that and how to work. And then at the end of the day, this is also why we do so much forgiveness work, because forgiveness is the ultimate shield. But also when it comes to like the demonic realm and stuff, we can give you tools about working with that. Like our friend Muna sent us the Buddha Sutras, and basically the biggest issue with them is like, if you are in your ego and thinking, you're the shit and you've got it all handled, that's when they're going to come. It's like a test. And again, they're like a virus that are finding the cracks. So if you know this and you can see them as the critters they are, instead of the demons they want you to feel, and trust me, I know it can get real vivid and crazy. They can seem like they can overpower you, and they actually can like engage in death. But if you have these tools, you can know how to work with that, and you can put it in its place and see it for what it is. And then you'll even be thanking them, because what did they do? They just showed you what you had overlooked, where you weren't clear, where you weren't in self-energy, all of that. So, maybe that's another workshop.
Yes.
Dark mirrors. Yeah, the black mirror. Kayvon talks about that a lot. Okay.
All right. So, I'm out.
Yes.
Thank you all once again for being patient and sitting through this and getting healed. Like this is totally like, now you guys are gonna go around your family members and they are literally gonna feel the energy. They're gonna feel the healing. They're gonna through osmosis, they're gonna get the codes, and this is what the leaders of the family do. So all of you guys that are participating in this today, you guys are the leaders of your packs.
Yeah,
and
you are.
And it's important that you understand that you are the leaders. It's nobody else. It's you. You are the pioneer. You're going to be bringing this to the rest of your family.
Don't wait for the aldermen. Don't wait for the senators.
No.
Don't wait for the mayor. It's you.
Yes.
You are the one you've been waiting for and looking for.
Yes, and you kind of already knew it too. So somebody else is saying it now.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Michelle, I see your comments about the OB experience. Okay, thanks, love. So it looks like it may be worth it to do a separate workshop about those things. But okay, I mean, I could sit here all night and jibber jabber because it's so wonderful seeing you. But I do recognize that my physical body probably needs a rest now. So thanks again. I could say thank you all night. I just really feel grateful. And again, like I mentioned in the other workshop, once you start shifting and you start becoming more self-led, you can jar other people who maybe aren't ready for the work or haven't been initiated. So like Matt Kahn says, a lot of times they'd rather be angry than confused. So if people come up and they get triggered around you, you can go into your self-energy. You can get curious about what's happening rather than being reactive to them. You can send love, or you can ask them questions like, what's going on for you right now? Try to bring them into present time. What's happening for you right now? What are you not getting that you need right now? What are you afraid would happen right now if you stop doing whatever it is that they're doing that seems kind of dysfunctional? Just asking the questions, that brings in the curiosity. And curiosity is an important quality of the self. So just remembering these words, and if you're in like a situation where you're getting triggered or someone around you is getting triggered, try to find one of these. If nothing else, just try to connect into them. If nothing else, come up with the creative question, get curious. If nothing else, just get compassionate. And, sometimes it's hard to find the compassion. If you can't find the compassion, If you can't find the compassion for yourself or that person, just think of somebody you can have compassion for. Like maybe the only one you can feel compassion for is your pet kitten or something. But just whatever it takes to get you into that energy, and just try to bring more of that into the situation. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody. Okay, I'm actually going to press the button. Thank you, and again, thank you to all the beings in all dimensions who joined us tonight and supported this experience. It was a beautiful experience for me, and I'm glad to know that many of you got something out of it. Okay. Good night.